What are the 100 greatest horror films according to Letterboxd ratings? Let's break them down.
What's up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And today, we're going to be breaking down the top 100 horror films on the Letterboxd app. And I got to say, I really like this list. There are a lot of fantastic movies on here, movies that I love. And there's a few movies I've never even heard of that I can't wait to add to my watch list.
Yeah, I have not seen everything on here.
Neither have I. I don't think anyone has.
But I've seen most of the movies on here, obviously. Like most of you listening probably have.
James, Twilight's not on here.
I've seen Twilight. But besides that, there's a great blend of classic movies. We have silent films. We have movies from the 70s, 80s, all around the world. And I really love even the top 20. And the top 5 are just super. The top 5 is my personality, honestly.
This is a great top 5. I'm really, really impressed with the top 5. There's one missing in the top 10, but we'll get into that later.
I already know what you're going to say for that, yeah. It's on the list.
The top 10 is really excellent, but there is a movie that you and I consider one of the greatest that's not in the top 20, I don't think.
It's not in the top 35.
Not in the top 35. Oh, I found it. Wow, that's pretty low. But it's still on there because it has to be. But I think this is a really solid list otherwise. We've done the Letterboxd Top 100 Movies list, so just the general all-film, the top 100 highest-rated films on Letterboxd. Now, this is not a list that Letterboxd per se makes. It's a list based on user ratings, so based upon the weighted average of overall ratings, these are the top 100.
And some of these movies have tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of reviews. Some of them are under 10,000 ratings. It is what it is, but there's a qualification, and if you qualify, you're on the list.
I think it's like 5,000 they got to get
something
to
like
qualify for being allowed to be on a list like this. But
we'll cruise through this, no problem, though. But there's so many great ones. But let's start off at number 100.
Go for it, man.
And number 100 is a movie that's been remade a few times. Really brilliantly in the 1970s it was remade, but in 1956 the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers came out. This is an excellent alien film and story of aliens making duplicates of human beings and posing as them to take over the world quietly, secretly behind the closed doors. But I think the 1970s version starring Donald Sutherland and Jeff Goldblum is superior.
They're both great.
But they're both great,
yeah. The original is fantastic. I really love both of them, but I do like the Donald Sutherland one a lot. I really think that's like an all-time horror film.
It's one of my favorite horror movies.
Happy to see it on the list, and it's a great one to start off with because people are very familiar with it. Next one is a Tim Robbins film, which came out a while ago. It's called Jacob's Ladder, which is at number 99. It came out in 1990. This is an absolute trip. I watched this for the first time, I think, early this year or later last year. I had heard of it, but I was absolutely floored. It's about this guy who's going on like an odyssey of his mind and surrealism, and he doesn't know what's real or what's not real. He thinks that there is some kind of conspiracy involving monstrous beings and supernatural forces out to get him, and he's trying to work his way out of it. He's blending between different realities to the point where the audience doesn't even know what the real reality is. And Tim Robbins, being one of the premier actors of the 1990s, absolutely crushed this. It's a fantastic horror film. I highly recommend Jacob's Ladder. It's an absolute mindfuck. You will not regret it.
Have you seen the next one?
The next one, let me see.
Kotoko.
I've not seen Kotoko.
From Japan, I have not seen this, but it is a 3.8 on Letterboxd. And suffering from double vision, a single mother tries to take care of her baby in the grip of terrifying hallucinations. Experiencing a nervous breakdown, she is deemed unfit to take care of her child and has it taken away from her. The only respite the mother has from her visions is when she sings. An award-winning novelist overhears her singing whilst riding the bus, and the pair subsequently develop a volatile relationship.
Wow.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I love Japan, so I got to check this out. All right, next up, there's a film many of you might have seen it, might have heard of it, and we're talking about Halloween, which came out in 1978, which sits on Letterboxd with a 3.8 rating. Honestly, that's pretty damn low for Halloween. I guess it hasn't aged well for everyone, but I think Halloween is an absolute perfect slasher film. One of the OGs, one of the iconic films in that genre. Redefined horror and changed the way people thought of how to make a horror movie too. John Carpenter absolutely crushed this movie. Halloween at number 7 with 3.8.
I love that expression. John Carpenter actually absolutely crushed this movie.
He crushed it.
He crushed it. It's so fun. All right, I have not seen the next one either, which
neither have I.
Looks French. called A New Life, La Vieille Nouvelle, a young American falls obsessively in love with the mysterious courtesan named Melania against the backdrop of a dilapidated Eastern European landscape. It's a 3.9 on
It's got a
Letterboxd.
cool poster.
It does have a really great poster.
It's a person like screaming.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have a Guillermo del Toro film.
Nice.
An early one of his. Right before he did Pan's Labyrinth, he made The Devil's Backbone in 2001. In Spain, in 1939, in the last days of the Spanish Civil War, the young Carlos arrives at the Santa Lucia orphanage, where he will make friends and enemies as he follows the quiet footsteps of a mysterious presence eager for revenge. This is a great supernatural ghost film. It has a 3.8 on Letterboxd. It's a really phenomenal film, one of his best, especially in the horror genre, and really primed himself up for being a huge thing in Hollywood. The Devil's Backbone.
Next up, you thought that The Nightmare Before Christmas was the only Christmas and Halloween movie, but little did you know that in 1974, Bob Clark directed Black Christmas, which is a 3.8 on Letterboxd. I'm so used to saying IMDb. It's a classic slasher, blends both holidays together, and this is a sorority house terrorized by a stranger who makes frightening phone calls and then murders the sorority sisters during Christmas break. So it's a horror movie on Christmas.
And I feel like in Blowout, De Palma made like his own slasher version of it with the POV film to open that they're sound mixing. It's like a slasher coming into a sorority
the
house.
cheesy kind of thing. Yeah, probably.
I think it might be homage to that one.
That opening's so funny.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, next up, we have a musical. Who is expecting a musical on this list? At number 93.
This one I would have expected, yeah.
Number 93, a film that came out in 1986, Little Shop of Horrors, which is absolutely fantastic. It's funny, it's scary, it's a lot of fun, it's insane. It's sitting at a 3.8 on Letterboxd right now. Seymour Krelburn is a nerdy orphan working at Mushnick's, a flower shop in urban Skid Row. He harbors a crush on fellow co-worker Audrey and is berated by Mr. Mushnick daily. One day, Seymour is seeking a new mysterious plant. He finds a mysterious unidentified plant which he calls Audrey 2. The plant seems to have a craving for blood and soon begins to sing for his supper. This is about one of the craziest films I've ever seen, with an unbelievable cameo by Steve Martin and as the dentist, and Bill Murray as his patient out of nowhere. I think this movie's so fun. It's magical in a lot of ways, and it has a really excellent ending. I think this is an all-time musical for sure.
Yeah, when it comes to musicals on screen and on stage, it's one of the best that's both of them at the same time, because a lot of playhouses adapt this every year around the world. Yes. It's a great one. Next up, we have a Polish film that I have not seen, The Third Part of the Night. Came out in 1971 to 3.8 on Letterboxd. Set during the Nazi occupation of Poland, in which Michael witnesses the murder of his mother, wife, and child. He is hurled into a life that literally is not his own, a surreal world littered with trapdoors, doppelgangers, and wormholes. It also tells the untold story of a Nazi vaccine laboratory where Jews and members of the resistance were employed as feeders for parasite infected with typhus.
Whoa, that's scary.
That sounds intense.
That sounds fucked up.
I kind of want to
I
check
think
this
that's
out.
my watch list. Yeah, we were both like,
that's what Yep, we're going to watch that ASAP.
We're messed up, man.
Sounds interesting.
This is what happens when you grow up watching American Psycho as a kid.
The Third Part of the Night.
All right, next up we have, at number 91, A Page of Madness, which is one of the oldest films on this list. Came out almost 100 years ago in 1926. This is a Japanese film. It is about a man who takes a job as a janitor at a mental asylum in order to be near his wife. Although his wife suffers a genuine mental anguish, the man believes he can rescue her, but his attempt to break her out one night backfires when she panics. After she returns to her room, the husband again makes a plan to try and take her out, only to be interrupted in the attempt by a doctor and several attendants whom he attacks and believes he has killed. Dun dun dun! Never seen this. Sounds very interesting. Also, the cinematography looks fantastic. There's some creepy masks on display in this movie, and the mask is the poster. So it looks pretty cool.
Next up, before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, in 1957, there was The Incredible Shrinking Man, directed by Jack Arnold. I've never seen this movie, but I've seen clips of it, and the filmmaking actually looks pretty great, as like tiny humans And then with spiders and dogs and everything like that, and the perspective of like battling and trying to survive even against cats. And
they'd be like lions to you.
They'd be bigger than lions, bro. You're like the size of like an iPod Go.
Oh, this looks
iPod
like
Mini.
a lot of fun.
So a
I love the
dangerous
sets.
combination of radiation and insecticide causes the unfortunate Scott Carrie to shrink slowly but surely until he is only a few inches tall. His home becomes a wilderness where he must survive everything from spiders living in the cellar to his beloved cat.
The cat's chasing him. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's like the Vertigo shot.
Pretty cool.
Great use of production design in building those sets. It's very cool. I like this. I want to check it out. Looks like a lot of fun. All right, next up, we have a Japanese modern horror classic in 1999, Audition.
Oh, yeah.
Which is one of the most fucked up movies of all time.
Yep.
Sitting at a 3.8 on IMDb. I mean, Letterboxd. This is 89 on the list. Directed by Takashi Miike. This is about a man who works in film and television industry, and he's seeking a new partner. He's a widower, and he's trying to get over the loss of his wife. And his son and both his business partner encourage him, "Hey, you should get out there. You should start seeing someone."
Bad idea.
Bad idea. Also, a bad idea is his friend who they work in casting. He's like, "How about we hold a casting call and audition a bunch of girls and see if you see one that you like?" Which
Not
is
a great idea.
Not a great idea. They do a casting, and a bunch of women apply to this gig and audition for the role, reading sides, thinking it's a real movie, but really it's just a ploy for this guy to find a new partner. And then he finds an odd girl auditions, and there's something special about her, and he's really drawn to her, and he's like, she's the one. And so he tells her at lunch, he meets her for lunch, for a business lunch, and says, "Oh, you didn't get the role, but I'd love to see you another time." So they begin a courtship, and man, does this go does this go poorly? I mean, holy shit! If you could talk about the biggest right turn in a movie ever, this is absolutely up there. And it's shocking, it's vile, it's disturbing, but also it's really entertaining and absolutely shocking.
It's one of those movies where it's not really a good for her movie because it goes so far in the direction of getting revenge that it's more like a Jesus Christ, relax, lady. But obviously it's a messed up thing that he does, but it has one of the most brutal things I've ever seen on screen before in a movie.
And an on-screen villain that is never really talked about, but it's just such a great character and such a scary movie character. Audition is one of my favorite all-time horror films. I'm happy to see on this list. Check it out.
Number 88 now, and we have a monster classic from Universal, directed by James White, 1931's Frankenstein. Everyone knows Frankenstein. Dr. Henry Frankenstein's obsessed with assembling a living being from parts of several... A living being.
Sorry, I had to.
Is that really what I sound like? Fuck. Yeah. No wonder I'm single.
I'm sorry, that's exactly
No wonder
what
I'm
you
alone.
A living... He wants to animate a living being.
Dr. Frankenstein... He wants to with assembling a living being from parts of several exhumed corpses, with a little lightning, a little dash of motions, and makes Frankenstein's monster.
Great movie, excellent movie, and it has a superior sequel too.
Sure does.
All right, number 87, we have our first Cronenberg film, which we'll see lots of on this list for sure. Dead Ringers, which is an all-time twin movie too. Twinning came out in 1988. Also a 3.8 on Letterboxd. It's about a pair of surgeon twins who get into this weird relationship with a woman. So what happens is one's very successful. They're both very successful. One is the outgoing one, and he's very suave, and he's sophisticated, and he's a womanizer. And the other one is an introvert, but he's the brilliant one, and he's afraid to go outside, and he's afraid to talk to women. So what happens is the confident one, he'll date women, and then when he gets tired of them, he'll pass them on to his twin, and the twin will pretend to be the other brother. But then they get into this obsession of madness, and it actually pours into their actual surgeries. And this is one of the all-time body horror movies of ever. It's got really cool production design where they always wear red instead of white like other surgeons, and they also craft their own custom instruments for their surgeries. And some of the surgeries in this film, they're not what you would expect. Holy crap.
Whoa.
What a crazy movie.
Number 86, we have Robert Eggers' The Witch, his first film all the way back in 2015.
We're old.
Holy fuck, I feel old.
Almost 10 years,
Anya
man.
Taylor-Joy was a baby in here. This is a classic modern horror film, 1630s New England. We have a family that are devout with their beliefs in their Christian life who are expelled from their local settlements, and then they are hunted and eventually some of them possessed by a local witch in the woods. And obviously, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a great witch story, great filmmaking, low budget indie, but exceptional horror. And you can see Robert Eggers' genius and tourism on display, even in his first film.
It's a really great first film, and I was really impressed with it. And I actually watched it again recently, and I still really like it. Great atmosphere and great tone, as well as the old-time English, which is like excellent job writing that. It's fantastic, which is awesome. All right, next up at number 85, at a 4.0 on Letterboxd. I'm gonna try and say this one. Sorry, everyone. Manichitrathatsu. That wasn't bad.
Yeah, you kind of got it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's Malayalan film.
Malayalan film. A young couple, Ganja and Nukalan, arrives at the ancestral home called Madampali of the Ladder. Hailing from a family that follows tradition and superstitions, Nukalan's uncle, Tampi, objects to the couple's idea of moving into the allegedly haunted mansion, which Nukalan ignores. The couple moves in anyway, following which seemingly supernatural events begin to happen. Gonna have to add this to my list. 4.0.
Nice. Next up, we are touching the first David Lynch film at number 84. We're going to touch it. We're going to touch this film. Inland Empire. Came out in 2006. A movie that many people probably still don't know what it's about. Starring Laura Dern, who's one of David Lynch's regulars. His favorite actress, I believe he's said. And it's about an actress's perception of reality, which becomes increasingly distorted as she finds herself falling for her co-star in a remake of an unfinished Polish production that was supposedly cursed. The co-star is Justin Theroux. Classic David Lynch fashion.
Also, he shot it on like a standard definition camcorder, pretty much.
Yeah.
And got these crazy angles and like super up close, like Emmanuel Lubezki style, but like not
distorted and odd and weird.
It's really, really bizarre film, and he actually operated the camera himself.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, he just did it all himself.
You know what's cool is what did we see the other night? And who was the DOP? It was an actor.
Giovanni Ribisi, the trailer. It was a trailer we watched.
What was the trailer for? Oh, it was something. But
it was the serial killer one.
Yeah,
the new serial
movie
killer one
with the guy from Smile.
Yeah.
Strange something. And Giovanni Ribisi's the DOP. That was really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it looked
because
really
they said director of photography Giovanni Ribisi has like a sole credit, which you would never see in a trailer. I was like, oh, yeah, it must be the actor then, if he's getting like a sole credit on the trailer before the director.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked like visually, it looked really well shot.
Yeah,
I was impressed. I was very impressed. All right, next up we have at number 83 a Roman Polanski film, The Tenant. He actually started out doing a lot of horror films in his early career, like Repulsion and Tenet. I hope Repulsion's on this list. We'll see. This is about a quiet and inconspicuous man who rents an apartment in France where the previous tenant committed suicide. He begins to suspect that his landlord and neighbors are trying to subtly change him into the last tenant, so he too will kill himself. This also stars Isabelle Adjani, who is famous for her groundbreaking performance in Possession. This is a really cool, suspenseful, freaky, weird horror movie. Check it out.
Next up, we have a werewolf film.
Nice.
At number 82, we have An American Werewolf in London, which might be the best werewolf film. It's up for debate. This came out all the way back in 1981.
Wow.
Holy crap. And it's about two American tourists in England who are attacked by a werewolf that none of the locals will admit exists. It's really scary and also campy fun at the same time, as well as great body horror and an excellent werewolf transformation. Still one of the best these days. But I feel like this is a movie that people either hate or love. Some people I've heard think it's cheesy, but also I've heard people say they love it.
How dare they think it's cheesy?
I can't believe it, man.
I remember just being a kid, and it was just like we would hear like our brothers talk about it and be like, "Oh, it's a crazy werewolf movie." And
yeah,
I remember we watched this at a very young age. as
Yeah,
well
we
as the
did.
sequel.
Yeah, we did.
Way too young to be watching it.
Sequel's not great, but this one's a classic.
Yes.
Directed by John Landis.
Yeah, we saw. Yeah, I remember Julie Delpy, like when we were 10. All right, next up, at number 81, we have a Michael Mann movie. I bet you were expecting to see Michael Mann on this list. Let's touch this Michael Mann movie.
Let's touch it, Anthony.
As James would say.
Touch the Michael Mann movie.
We have Manhunter, which is an adaptation of a Hannibal Lecter novel of Red Dragon. This came out in 1986 as a 3.9 on Letterboxd. It's about Agent Will Graham, who's tasked and pulled out of retirement to track down a new serial killer with the help and assistance of Hannibal Lecter, played by Brian Cox brilliantly. I think this is one of the coolest movies ever made. William Peterson plays William Graham. Joan Allen's in it. Tom Noonan's great as the serial killer. This is just like such a stylish film. It's brutal too. Like, this is absolutely a horror movie. I know sometimes people question whether serial killer movies, like investigation movies, count as horror movies. This is a horror movie. There's big scares. There's graphic violence and just like tons of gore in this film. So absolutely, I think fits the bill for the genre. And this is just one of the all-time detective movies, investigation movies, and an all-time serial killer movie. Like, this is top 5, I think, in that genre. It's really phenomenal. Great score, amazing cinematography, and just like one of the most badass, cool performances by William Peterson ever.
It's a sexy film.
It is a
As
fucking
well as
sexy
scary.
movie.
In the wheelchair scene, woo! It's pretty intense.
Yeah, man. Ah,
It's a great scene. It's a terrifying
Yes.
scene. The projector sequence. Do you
this,
see?
do you see?
Do you see?
Remember South Park made fun
Yeah,
of it?
South Park killed that one.
Where he's like,
Me at the Grand Canyon. Do you
Do
see?
you see?
Do you see? Next up, at number 80, we are taking a trip down Brian De Palma's filmography with 1976's Carrie, based off Stephen King's first published novel. Carrie's an incredible classic, was remade about 10, 15 years ago. Not as great, obviously, as the original. Carrie White is a shy and troubled teenage girl who is tormented by her high school peers and her fanatically religious mother. She begins to use her powers of telekinesis to exact revenge upon them. She thinks their powers for good.
yes.
But little does she know that they're powers of evil.
Great movie.
Fuck yeah.
Great ending. Amazing third act. This is like one of the best third acts ever in a film.
Possibly. It's
From
just
the
it
prom
bombs to the
sequence
walls
up
for
from- yeah.
25 minutes.
Prom sequence to the end, it's just holy shit.
Lots of fire.
Lots of blood.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of blood. It's a great film.
Some electricity, too.
All right, next up at number 79, we have another Universal horror classic with The Invisible Man, which came out in 1933. And this is absolutely deserving of this list. Working in Dr. Cranley's laboratory, scientist Jack Griffin was always given the latitude to conduct some of his own experiments. His sudden departure, however, has Cranley's daughter Flora worried about him. Griffin has taken a room at a nearby Lion's Head Inn, hoping to reverse an experiment he conducted on himself that made him invisible. However, the experimental drug also warped his mind, making him aggressive and dangerous. He's prepared to do whatever it takes to restore his appearance until he gets to the point where he's mad with power and decides to try to take over the world. It's a great movie. Incredible filmmaking, pioneering visual effects and special effects, both in camera and in post-production. This is, for anyone who's interested in filmmaking, you have to watch The Invisible Man.
Definitely. Moving on to 1994, coming out of Japan, we have Angel Dust, which is one of the... It's a 3.9. It's
I never
on the
heard of
list.
it, yeah.
I never heard of it either. It's about a police psychologist who suspects her former lover of serial murders on the Tokyo subway.
This list is so great for discovering films, like lists like this.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, I've never heard of some of these films already, and we're only at 78. Next up at number 77, we have The Devil, which is another Polish film called Diabeł in the language. It's about a young Polish nobleman named Jacob who is saved from imprisonment by a stranger. In return, the stranger wants to obtain a list of Jacob's fellow conspirators. As he follows his mysterious savior across the country, Jacob is affected by the overall chaos and moral corruption. He goes insane and becomes a mass murderer. Fuck yeah. I'm in.
Next up, we are getting into some vampires here. At number 76, from Werner Herzog, we have Nosferatu the Vampire. In 1979, this came out. Vampire. Obviously, we have a new Nosferatu coming out this year on Christmas Day from Robert Eggers, which I cannot wait to see. But this is probably the most famous one after F.W. Murnau's, which was the original adaptation and arguably from one of the most influential filmmakers of all time of the silent era. And this one's also an excellent version, more modernized, obviously, in 1979. Still holds up pretty well, but I'm beyond excited for Robert Eggers' version of this movie.
This movie's really great. It's a really good horror film. Also, I watched a clip. I haven't seen it in years. I watched a clip from the original silent film, and it holds up, man. It's like perfectly crafted.
It's brilliant.
And I think that what's so fascinating about really old films is when I know that they don't age well, but when you understand like how limited they were with what the technology was and how big and heavy the cameras were and the film stocks and lighting, like it's just amazing that some filmmakers accomplished things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I saw this great post. I can't remember what film account it was, where they took stills from the original Nosferatu, this Nosferatu from Herzog, and then stills from the trailer for
I saw
Eggers,
some similarities.
and basically similar shots and scenes and how each filmmaker grabbed them. And it's so interesting how they're all so similar, but it's just different technologies, different production design elements, different lighting and stuff like that. But really, the ideas of what was happening in the 1920s with silent film, they're really the same as today. It's just better technology or different technology, but not necessarily better shots, but the same kind of shots, the same ideas were already there.
I mean, just think about the lighting that is available now, the incredible control people have of lights.
Yeah. Like the hand shadow over the entire city in Eggers' trailer, there's a great hand shadow on someone's face in the original Nosferatu. It's really cool. So it's kind of like, how can I do similar things that they did in the 1920s, but make it bigger and better and more artistic today?
Yeah. The trailer looks fucking good, man.
Yeah, it does.
It looks really good.
In theaters, man.
Oh, my God.
Because we saw, what movies did we see the other day?
Something. Oh, it was Maxine.
We saw Maxine, and it was AMC, so they played 46 trailers.
Yeah, the movie started at 10 p.m., and we got there at noon.
Yeah. All the trailers were like, the Twisters one wasn't playing. They didn't play the Twisters one for some reason. Most of the trailers were, pretty good. Some of them were great, but then when the Nosferatu trailer played, it felt like we were in a different world.
We both looked at each other like,
for like 3 minutes, it felt like you were in a different world. Just from a trailer.
That's a movie, man. Good picture.
Good picture.
All right, next up at number 75, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which redefined the horror genre, directed by Tobe Hooper. When Sally hears that her grandmother's grave may be vandalized, she and her paraplegic brother Franklin set out with their friends to investigate. After a detour to their family's old farmhouse, they discover a group of crazed, murderous outcasts living next door. As the group is attacked one by one by the chainsaw-wielding Leatherface, who wears a mask of human skin, the survivors must do everything they can to escape. This is one of the most grisly, raw, brutal films ever made, and it's like it changed things. And just like how Hitchcock did in 1960, as well as with Peeping Tom, which came out in 1960, it was pushing the envelope and breaking the boundaries of what people thought you could only do. And Tobe Hooper threw out all the rules. This film is mostly handheld, which looks awesome. He's right up in characters' faces. The gore is messed up. It's a movie that makes your stomach curl with disturbing imagery and situations. And one of the all-time greatest horror villains ever in Leatherface. It's an amazing, amazing movie. I love it.
Next up, we have a Godzilla film, one of the better ones, Shin Godzilla, which came out in 2016, which is obviously a very similar story that we're used to, added some new elements, had a new and unique creature design for Godzilla with more of a burnt body and skin, and, well, not skin, but whatever the exterior of Godzilla is. And a little bit of a unique and different origins of the monster versus something that was already there. And Shin Godzilla is a scarier version of Godzilla, maybe the scariest Godzilla film.
I feel like this is the most liked one.
It was big hit at the box office, too, $76 million US.
Damn.
Box office.
In 2016.
2016.
Fucking A, man. Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah, he's got like that red light interior.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like kind of scary to look at. I get that. All right, next up, we have Tetsuo, the Iron Man, a Japanese film that came out in 1989. A metal fetishist is driven mad by the maggots wriggling in the wound he's made to the embedded metal into his flesh. He runs out into the night and is accidentally run down by a Japanese businessman and his girlfriend. The pair dispose of the corpse in hopes of quietly moving on with their lives. However, the businessman soon finds out that he is now plagued by a vicious curse that transforms his flesh into iron. This sounds like some fucking Cronenberg stuff. I gotta check this out. Tetsuo, the Iron Man, came out in 1989, and it's a 3.9 on Letterboxd.
We're at number 72 here with a Pedro Almodovar film, The Skin I Live In, which came out in 2011. This is an excellent movie. This is a movie where when you discover the truth about everything that's going on, this great mystery, this eerie tone, when you discover the truth, your hands are on your face for like 10 minutes straight. It's bonkers. The last 25 minutes are insane. Yeah. This movie is so unique. It's a clever idea. Antonio Banderas plays a plastic surgeon who lost his wife, correct?
Yes.
And then he's developing a new kind of skin, a synthetic skin for surgery and for helping people
he believes
with trauma.
he believes his daughter was murdered.
That's what it is. And so he's testing out this new skin on a guinea pig against their will, and this woman who is trapped in his home with this fake skin, this fake face. Yeah. However, it gets even darker and twistier when you realize who this person is and where they come from and who they were before being a guinea pig in this man's home.
This is one of the craziest stories ever. And Almodovar, for his movies generally being very light and playful in his early days, now they've been much more metaphorical and investigatory of the human experience.
Romantic at times.
In deeper ways. This is like groundbreaking, I think, in the horror genre, and it's one of the most original screenplays ever written. It's incredible.
Yeah, and not only will you feel intense horror and dread, but I cried at the end of this movie.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
It was insanely tragic.
It's a up and down roller coaster ride. The Skin I Live In. Holy crap! All right, next up.
What a picture!
What a picture! At number 71, we have King Kong, the original, which came out in 1933, directed by Marion C. Cooper. This is a 3.9 on Letterboxd.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Short and sweet. We all know King Kong.
Here we go. At number 70, we have the classic from Mary Harron, American Psycho.
Yes.
In one of Christian Bale's greatest performances, and arguably before Batman, his really name to fame, his role that got him recognition, obviously plays Patrick Bateman, a New York investment banking executive and VP who secretly moonlights with a psychopathic ego as a serial killer. Great novel and an excellent adaptation. Brilliant adaptation. This movie's so good. It's dark as fuck. But my God, it gets funnier and funnier every time I watch it. And Christian Bale puts on one of the performance of a lifetime in this movie, man. It's
an acting clinic.
It's an all-time performance. It really is. And few actors and actresses can escape into a role like Christian Bale can. And when it comes to escapism, this might be the number one role where he's just gone so deep into a character where he's unrecognizable, even though it looks just like him. But what a performance. And Patrick Bateman, not only the mimification and the lines and the music, everything about this movie is still culturally in the zeitgeist of cinema and entertainment.
You're dressed okay. Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Put on a coaster.
Use a coaster.
Where did you get that overnight bag?
Jean-Paul Gaultier. All right, next up, we have a Spanish film, The Skeleton of Mrs. Morales, directed by Rogelio A. Gonzalez. A taxidermist decides to murder his wife after having to put up with her after 20 years of hellish marriage. It's like the darker version of Divorce Italian style, basically. Sounds pretty funny.
Next up, we have a film from Czechoslovakia in 1978, Beauty and the Beast. It's not exactly the adaptation you're thinking of.
No.
Beauty and the Beast. It's a fantasy horror film. Now, it's about this character named Julie, who's the youngest daughter of a bankrupt merchant who sacrifices her life in order to save her father. She goes to an enchanted castle in the woods and meets Netvor, a bird-like monster. As Netvor begins to fall in love with Julie, he must suppress his beastly urge to kill her.
Oh, it's like a giant bird monster guy
Yeah.
with human hands.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh my god, what the fuck? Hey, they were shooting shots, man. I bet it's good. All right, next up at number 67, we have our second Cronenberg film with Videodrome. James Woods. This is a fucking crazy movie. As the president of a trashy TV channel, Max is desperate for new programming to attract viewers. When he happens upon Videodrome, a TV show dedicated to gratuitous torture and punishment, Max sees a potential hit and broadcasts the show on his channel. However, after his girlfriend auditions for the show and never returns, Max investigates the truth behind Videodrome and discovers that the graphic violence may not be as fake as he thought. Ha 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 ha. This is one of the craziest movies ever. Body horror up the wazoo. It's insane. James Woods is fantastic in it. Just a really mindfuck of a movie. Videodrome.
Next up, we have Eraserhead from David Lynch, which came out in 1977. This is basically Blue Valentine, except a horror nightmare of body horror, where we have this character who's trying to survive in his industrial apartment, and an earlier fling with the girl he's interested in is made her pregnant, and he has them move in, but soon she gives birth to this crazy lizard-like creature. This movie's insane. It's very metaphorical. This creature won't stop crying. I feel like anyone who's a parent probably can relate to this film in a lot of ways. But it's intense. It's great, but it's also brilliant at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good movie, man. Good picture.
It's pretty good.
All right, next
You
up.
like my analogy?
Yeah.
Blue Valentine, except the nightmare.
You did freeze for a second. I was like, did he have a stroke?
I was just gathering my thoughts.
All right, at number 65, we have the original Nosferatu, which came out in 1922. It is a 3.9 on Letterboxd. Vampire Count Orlok is interested in a new residence and in his real estate agent's young wife. Nosferatu is basically the Dracula story written by Bram Stoker, in case anyone didn't know. Just in case you didn't know.
The Count.
Which means, so
So,
I guarantee you, Willem Dafoe plays Van Helsing in Nosferatu, the upcoming film. It would make sense because Van Helsing is actually pretty old in the novel.
interesting. That'd be pretty cool.
And then I'm guessing Nicholas Hoult will play the lawyer who's tasked with changing over residences.
That's what it looks like to me, yeah.
And then, I'm saying Willem Dafoe will be Van Helsing. in
There's a
Nosferatu.
shot of possibly Renfield biting a pigeon.
Renfield's in a prison. That's definitely Renfield.
Instead of a rat, he was biting a pigeon, though. You see that?
Yeah, well, he likes anything with blood.
Anything feral.
Yeah, anything that has blood in it. He thinks blood is power, and he's desperate for serving his master. So, if you haven't read Bram Stoker's Dracula, check it out. It's great. But this looks like it's quite different. But it definitely had, like, you know how he mentioned the three Nosferatu films having similar imagery?
Yeah.
Also, Coppola's Dracula,
Yeah.
similar imagery as well,
Yes, of course.
which is such a stunning film.
Oh, man, it's such a trip, dude. What a surrealist nightmare of a movie. It's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love that he made this movie. Next up, we have, from Italia, Deep Red, Profondo Rosso, directed by Dario Argento. This is a classic slasher that Anthony talks about all the time.
Remember, we were over someone's house, and we were like, what should we put on? I was like, you want to put on Deep Red?
I was like, Anthony.
They don't want to watch
this
Deep Red.
I was like, Anthony, this is a normie. They're a normie.
They do not want to watch Deep
They
Red.
can't handle a 1975 Italian horror film, all right? But yeah, it's a great a slasher.
Better than the one we put on.
It is a better movie.
Just saying.
But yeah, it's a slasher film from Italy in the 1970s. It's fucking awesome.
It's great. It's about a guy who witnesses a murder and he starts investigating it on his own. And gets caught up in the whole series of the crime spree. Fucking awesome.
Great imagery.
Great scares. Really great scares. All right, next up. I was waiting for this one. At number 63. One of us. One of us. Google gobble. Google gobble. One of us. One of us. Google gobble. Freaks. At number 63. I was waiting for when this would show up. It's a 3.9 on Letterboxd. A circus of beautiful trapeze artists agreed to... a circus's beautiful trapeze artist agrees to marry the leader of sideshow performers, but his deformed friends discover she is only marrying him for his inheritance. This is actually like a a very sad, tragic, and very beautifully human film about the life for people who are very different from the average person, and especially when they're exploited and used for something like entertainment and show. It actually has a lot of heart. Freaks came out in 1932, directed by Todd Browning.
Next up at number 62. Here it is, Anthony. From Roman Polanski, we have Repulsion from 1965, which is a really brilliant horror movie. If you've never seen this, I can't recommend it enough. Really great handheld kind of voyeuristic filmmaking out on the streets of London. And it's about this young, beautiful woman who has this odd fear, or there's something off about her, but she has this intense fear of men, and specifically a pathological fear of interaction with men. And this is probably caused, as you watch the film, from all of the men that basically they just try to take advantage of her and try to sleep with her constantly. And because of that, she's terrified of them. And then her sister and roommate, they go away on holiday, and she has the flat to herself. And she starts to have these intense, bizarre hallucinations, as well as a man who is the landlord of the building is coming for some money, but sees her as some sort of prey that he can go after. It doesn't end well for him and the rest of the men in this movie. And it's pretty intense. It's surreal as fuck, but it's really, really brilliant.
Unbelievable imagery in that movie. It's an all-time horror film.
It's a good for her movie, too.
Yeah, great, good for her. All right, next up at number 61, we have Mother, Joan of the Angels, directed by Jerzy Kolarowicz, which I'm guessing is Polish. Okay, yeah, a Polish priest arrives at a convent hoping to save the Mother Superior, who is supposedly possessed by 8 demons. 3.9 Letterboxd. Googled some images. It looks really cool. Looks like they were way ahead of the time with evil nuns and sisters with this one. Although she's not evil. She's just
evil
like,
nuns and
possessed.
sisters.
So hot right now.
Bro, every fucking horror
movie is
except
just
for
evil
Smile 2 and a couple others coming out this year.
This is
Nosferatu.
evil priests and evil nuns.
That's because we saw obviously 46 trailers at AMC the other day, and there's already been like 7 movies released this year that have religious fanaticism or evil churches in it.
Yeah.
There were 7 more trailers about evil churches and evil priests and evil nuns.
We're not even churches, but like evil, just religious fanaticism.
It's too much.
It's getting really, honestly, it's getting really redundant. Like
Even
literally,
Maxine had a lot of it in it as well.
Maxine had it, and it's just like it's getting repetitive, and it's getting to the point where like there's other ways to tell horror stories other than just crazy religious people. But it's like there were 4 trailers in a row, and I was like, holy shit, it's like the same fucking movie.
At
over
least
and
do
over
a
again.
cult.
Yeah,
Other than a church, I guess, but
it's getting really boring. Honestly,
it's been too many movies. Too many movies this year too many horror movies have the motif and theme of religious fanaticism. Or
and there are more coming.
The church being evil and the church is being run, like the people in the church being possessed by the devil or something like that.
Or just like a person who's religious being psycho. And it's just like...
And murderous. It's like 30 movies this year.
It's just the same thing over and over again. It's not even interesting anymore. Like, tell other kinds of horror stories, guys. Let's go. Like, 4 trailers in a row yesterday. I was like, again, it's the same thing. Jesus Christ, it's getting boring. Really boring.
Let it out, man. Let it out.
So I was just like, come on, guys. What the fuck?
Yeah, we turned to each other like,
Holy shit.
another one?
Jesus.
All right. Well, here we go at number 60.
Like, this list is a perfect example of so many different kinds of horror stories.
Yeah. I need some more body horror in here, man.
Need some more Cronenberg stuff.
And I need some more zombie movies, too. Like 1992's Brain Dead, directed by the one and only Peter Jackson. This horror comedy coming out in New Zealand in 1992 before he was the king of Middle Earth.
Before he made Heavenly Creatures.
Yeah, so he made this in 1992. It's about when a Sumatran rat monkey bites Lionel Cosgrove's mother, she's transformed into a zombie and begins killing and transforming the entire town while Lionel races to keep things under control. Really great poster, too, of some woman stretching her mouth open and there's a zombie skull inside of her mouth.
Very cool.
It's cool.
Very graphic, very gory, and super, super bloody. Like, super bloody. Check it out, guys. All right, next up. We have another version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1978, directed by Philip Kaufman, starring the late Donald Sutherland, as well as Brooke Adams, Leonard Nimoy, and Jeff Goldblum, Veronica Cartwright.
Oh yeah, Leonard Nimoy's in that.
this. Yeah. He plays the psychologist. So this is the first remake of the original film of aliens taking over humans, starting in San Francisco and quickly spreading across the globe as we follow a handful of survivors who've grown wise to what's really going on and are trying to find a way out of the city unnoticed. You can never tell who's friend or who's foe in this film. It's an incredible movie filled with shocking twists, great gore, great prosthetics and special effects work, and an overall unbelievable and unforgettable ending.
Next up, we have a movie similar to The Skin I Live In.
Yeah!
But in 1960, at number 58 on this list from Letterboxd, we have Eyes Without a Face. And it's about this doctor who's riddled with guilt after an accident caused by him disfigures the face of his daughter. So then his plan from now on is he kidnaps young women, brings them to their mansion, and tries to cut their faces off and graft them onto his daughters.
I want his face off. I want take his face
off. Castor Troy!
This is one of the best horror films ever made. It's an unbelievable movie. It's a 3.9, but it deserves to be just like a 5.0 in my opinion. It's also Jordan Peele uses it for heavily for inspiration for Get Out. And so The Skin I Live In and Get Out are two movies that have used this as huge inspiration for good reason, because it's really one of the most brilliant horror films ever put on film. Ever. All right, next up, we have another zombie film at number 57 with Train to Busan.
Let's go.
One of the most recent films on this list as well in 2016. I think you've all seen this movie. This is one of the most beloved zombie movies in recent memory. Martial law is enacted when a mysterious viral outbreak pushes Korea into the state of emergency. However, those on an express train to Busan, a city that has successfully fended off the viral outbreak, must fight for their own survival. This is great action, amazing kills, crazy what the fuck moments, lots of blood, fun zombies. It's an all-around entertaining as hell movie with a crazy ending. And just also a lot of heart. It's a zombie movie that'll make you cry, and that's pretty rare. 4.0 on Letterboxd. Really brilliant film.
Yeah, I feel bad for all the zombies, man.
Yeah, those poor zombies.
Great family story.
What's your favorite compartment?
My favorite compartment?
Yeah. I like the dark when they're going through the tunnels and they have to climb over.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
That's my favorite bit.
Man, I haven't seen this movie in like a year or two since we covered it on the show.
The baseball team is a good one too.
Yeah, the baseball team's good. Yeah, it's cool.
The train station's the best part though. When they get to the train station thinking they're safe.
Yeah, it's a near chase. It's almost a perfect movie. It's almost there. Because we talk about what happens in the front compartment where they...
If you want to check it out.
Well, because the front compartment
would be the safest, and they decide to
the second compartment is where everyone's hiding, like that have banished the other ones, and when they enter that compartment, they accuse them of being infected, and then they tell them that you move forward to the next compartment, which doesn't make a ton of sense because the zombies are like knocking on the door of that compartment, and then they break through the door.
This is plot.
It's plot. It was besides that, it's a perfect movie.
We watched this on Twitch. We watched it on Twitch.
We did our streamathon.
Halloween streamathon.
We watched like 10 movies. That was a lot of fun.
We ate a lot of food and drank a lot of drinks.
Lots of candy. We should do that again. Twitch marathon. Let's move on to number 56. And we're hanging out with Michael Haneke here.
Yeah, baby!
With 1997's film that he wrote and directed, Funny Games, which is one of the best home invasion movies ever made, if not the best home invasion movie. It's very dark, very twisted, sadistically funny, and it's about these two young men who basically insert themselves into the life of this family who are taking a little vacation to their summer home, and they just stumble into their home, but they make it seem like chance, like they need a couple eggs. They say they're staying at a neighbor's summer home as well, who they see on a boat, and they come over for some ingredients, but they refuse to leave, and they start to fuck them up and torment them, terrorize the family, and play funny games with them. It's really brilliant. It's dark. It's a love-or-hate movie. I know some people that find this movie disturbing and tough to watch, and they don't like it because of that.
How dare they?
But it's really, really well made. It's an awesome idea. And Haneke also made and directed the English language version of this, starring Tim Roth and Naomi Watts.
Yes. Michael Pitt is great in that.
Yeah, Michael Pitt's one of the guys, the lead guy. Yeah. Great fourth wall break in both films.
Tom and Jerry. All right, next up at number 55, we have...
listen to this review on Letterboxd. Has Michael Haneke ever experienced a positive emotion in his life?
Oh my god, that's so funny. His movies are all very, very messed up and intense. He makes intense movies.
That's a great review.
He's
probably such a nice guy too.
He seems like a very smart, articulate guy. Honestly, I mean that doesn't.
He's obviously brilliant.
I think he's the most underappreciated director of our time. No one ever puts him on their lists. All right, next up at number 55, we have The Wicker Man, which came out in 1973. A 4.0 on Letterboxd, deservingly so. Police Sergeant Neil Howie is called to an island village in search of a missing girl whom the locals claim never existed. Stranger still are the rituals that take place there. This is a really weird movie in a good way. It's strange. It's very musical. It's trippy as hell. And it's an absolutely brilliant mystery where our lead character, as well as the audience, does not know what the hell is going on or where they're being led to. And that is to a crazy, unbelievable conclusion. One of the most memorable finales in the horror film history. The Wicker Man, the original, is a brilliant, brilliant piece of cinema. I love it.
Next up, we have the original Suspiria from 1977, directed by Dario Argento, an Italian film. The remake was done by Luca Guadagnino. Slight differences here where in the original, it's about an Italian woman who goes to Germany to attend a prestigious dance academy, whereas in the remake, it's an American who goes to Italy to attend a prestigious academy there. Sexier. Well, yeah, super sexy.
Italy is way sexier than Germany.
I guess, yeah.
Come on, don't say I guess.
Yeah,
they don't even live. Italy's way sexier than Germany.
Italy's very sexy.
Okay,
it's a very sexy language. You're right. You're right. But this movie, obviously, when she's attending this dance academy, gets very dark and twisted and evil. Lots of red, lots of blood. Great production design, great dancing, and the walls of this age-old dance academy lurk evil.
The walls lurk evil?
Within the walls lurk evil. Within the walls lurks evil.
There we go. There we go.
Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
The walls lurk evil.
Within the walls lurks evil. There we go.
All right, number 53, we have Misery from Rob Reiner, of all people. Came out in 1990 with a 4.0 rating on Letterboxd. Novelist Paul Sheldon crashes his car on a snowy Colorado road. He is found by Annie Wilkes, the #1 fan of Paul's heroine Misery Chastain series. Annie is also somewhat unstable, and Paul finds himself crippled, drugged, and at her mercy. Kathy Bates won the Oscar for Best Lead Actress for her role as Annie in Misery. This is based on a Stephen King novel. James Caan plays the writer, Paul. This is an incredible film. And what's so impressive about it is that it holds so much suspense and packs so many thrills with just two people in a house. And that's it. And it's just an extraordinary piece of filmmaking and storytelling where it remains that strong of a narrative with such small scope. And it's just got some of the most messed up images ever. It's got a scene in this film that will make your spine tingle and make you squeamish. I guarantee it. And my God, it's so goddamn good. Misery is phenomenal.
At number 52, we have an anime, Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust. Came out in 2000. Here's a synopsis. D has been hired to track down Meyerlink, a notoriously powerful vampire who has abducted a woman, Charlotte Elborn. D's orders are strict. Find Charlotte at any cost. For the first time, D faces serious competition. The Marcus brothers, a family of vampire hunters, were hired for the same bounty. Dee must intercept Meyer and conquer hostile forces on all sides in a deadly race against time. Looks fucking cool.
Yeah, it does look cool.
It's basically Blade in Japan. Mm-hmm. He's got a massive samurai sword.
Yeah. I'm getting Blade vibes from like the look of it, for sure.
Listen to this review. The only good thing Catholicism has ever done is inspire Japanese animators.
Oh my god.
So it's a sci-fi, Western, Gothic horror. It's a blend of all those.
Yeah. Sounds cool, man.
The animation looks really interesting. I kind of want to check this out ASAP.
Vampire Hunter
D. Bloodlust.
Vampire Hunter D. Bloodlust. Yeah, it does look very cool.
All right, we got one more, and then we're going to head to our intermission, pal.
All right, next up at number 51, we have the OG zombie movie, Night of the Living Dead, from George A. Romero, all the way back in 1968. This is like 10 years before he did Dawn of the Dead, which is like the late 70s. This is about a group of people who try to survive an attack of bloodthirsty zombies while trapped in a rural Pennsylvania farmhouse. This is extremely low budge, takes place just in one location. And it's just a really great film. They did an amazing job. It's an all-time classic and really helped create the zombie genre.
Not the first one, though.
Yeah.
1932's White Zombie.
Do you want to fight?
No,
Wait, I think I've seen White Zombie.
Yeah, it's the original real zombie movie.
White Zombie. Did you search what's the first zombie movie?
I knew it was a silent film, but I wanted to double-check what it was.
Oh, it's the guy who plays Dracula, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He resurrects.
Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. All right, well.
Let's get into our intermission.
Let's do it. And before we continue, the very best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Why, oh why would you want to do that? Well, because you get awesome perks like access to the ad-free version of every single episode. You do understand that we have to put commercials on the show. It's how we pay the rent. It's how Anthony can get his Trader Joe's, how Juno gets his cat food. Otherwise, Anthony would be face down at the bottom of a drained pool. We need Patreon to support us so that we can do the show full time and make all this content for you. You get those ad-free episodes as well as bonus episodes every single week of the show that only patrons get access to, plus other perks like access to our Discord where we do watch parties and have an incredible film community on there. You get free merchandise, video messages, all kinds of stuff. Become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Another great way to support the show. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. What are you doing right now? Why aren't you leaving a rating on Spotify or Apple? Scroll on your phone, go up, even if you're watching on YouTube, go on your phone right now. Get on there.
So much finger pointing.
Leave a 5-star rating or review. Why? It helps us get seen by new people, helps build a reputation for the show. Plus, at 5,000 Apple ratings, I'm going to get a tattoo of Anthony's choice. Hopefully it's cool. Hopefully it's movie related. And hopefully it's not somewhere too embarrassing. Another great way to support the show is just share us. Word of mouth is the best way for a podcast to grow. So share us on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, TikTok, wherever. Let your friends know that there's a great movie podcast that you think they'd like and send them Raiders of the Lost Podcast.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com. to get 10% off your order right now. They have a huge selection of pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their poster library, as well as all sorts of sizes, framing, and even backlighting for your poster needs. They have all the options you want. You can even get like this cool, like James has this cool lit backdrop poster.
Backlit poster. Lit backdrop?
It's a lit backdrop.
Backlit, Anthony.
Backlit poster.
It's a backlit frame.
It looks like we're in a movie theater right now.
It's an original print of Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Rings from 2001. I got a certificate and everything to confirm its authenticity.
He carries it everywhere.
It's close to my heart. It's taped to my heart. You know those dads that go international traveling and they have like a vest of Velcro of all the kids' passports? That's me with the certificate of my Fellowship of the Ring poster.
They ask for your passport, you hand them that. They're like, oh my God, you have one?
Come on into our country then.
Why did you say so, sir?
Well, when I go to New Zealand, I'm just going to bring that poster.
Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 over at movieposters.com to get 10% off your order today. Let's get into our intermission.
Let's do it, man, and begin with our movie quote competition. Are you ready?
Ready.
Here we go. 2 characters.
Yes.
So here's the riddle. What does an 8,000-pound Mako shark with a brain the size of a flathead V8 engine and no natural predators think about? Well, I'm not waiting around to find out.
Is that Deep Blue Sea?
Sure is.
Yes. Shark ate me.
The motherfucking shark ate me.
All right, here's mine.
We're gonna stick together and we're gonna figure this out.
We're gonna get through this. Munch.
What a great scene.
Stellan Skarsgård is in that. He plays
The scientist.
the
Yeah.
scientist. He's the scientist who gets his arm bit off by the shark in the lab.
Yep.
And then he gets tied to a stretcher. The helicopter gets taken down.
Yeah.
Crash lands, and then the shark takes him and throws him into the glass.
Yeah. Shitty way to go, man.
He's got like the craziest death ever.
I believe he has the oxygen mask on underwater. That's why he's still alive.
That's why he's like freaking out.
Yeah, the shark uses him as a tool.
It's so funny.
I love how sharks knew what glass is.
Yeah. Well, they're super sharks.
Super sharks.
They're wicked smart. They made them smart, but they didn't teach them anything.
So your plan was to make sharks smarter.
Not a great plan. All right, here's my quote. Don't be afraid. I'm going to give you the choice I never had.
Say it one more time.
Don't be afraid. I'm going to give you the choice I never had.
It's definitely a vampire movie. I'm going to go with Interview with the Vampire.
Correct.
Yes.
That's when he's about to turn Brad.
Yeah.
Lestat.
And then he regrets his decision immediately after he's turned. And he deals with constantly killing people for the rest of his life, or tries not to.
He accepts it eventually.
Yes, but
when he's hanging out with Christian Slater. He's
realistically
gotten to that
accepts it,
point.
yeah.
Took him 100 years to accept it.
yeah, he's pretty pissed off for a while. He's very mopey for a
Mopey,
vampire.
yeah.
Mopey vampire, Brad
He's an
Pitt.
angsty vampire. Whereas Kirsten Dunst is like, let's fucking kill everyone.
I'm hungry. I want French fries. All right, Anthony, guess this movie release year. Underworld.
2003.
Nice. You nailed it, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
No hesitation.
Just came to me, man. It's like I can't control it.
That's the girl next door.
Correctamundo. That's not my reference, though. That's my quote, though. But you got that right. What is it? Doesn't count, though, because it's not part of the contest.
I was just saying that I got the reference, bro.
You wicked smart.
Thanks.
Also, great Tumblr sticker on your water bottle now. It's like Batman Tumblr, but it's a lawnmower.
No, but he's on the Tumblr, yeah. It's pretty cool.
He's just wearing.
So his lawnmower, he's driving a lawnmower, but it's the Tumblr.
He's got a t-shirt and shorts on, but he's still got his cowl.
He's got the cowl on. His t-shirt says Wayne Enterprises. It's pretty great.
It's funny to tell.
Good sticker. Good sticker.
Good sticker. What year did Risky Business come out?
1983.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
High five. Good one, man.
Woo.
Well done.
Thanks. All right, Anthony.
He's he's fucking bouncing. You're so happy. You're literally bouncing in your seat.
That was a good one. That's like nice.
I've never seen you so happy in your life.
I'm just happy around food. Like there's a snack waiting for me in the fridge.
You look like a little kid that just won something.
I did. I won respect. All right, Anthony. Movie pop quiz time. Who directed Van Helsing?
Who did direct Van Helsing? Sounded like a helicopter. It's me stalling.
Sure stall. Yeah, you're stalling big time.
Sure stall? You're saying a lot of things that make no sense today. The walls lurk evil. Sure stalling.
Sure stalling. You know, sometimes your brain says like three things at the same time and it comes out as shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of what's happening.
I don't have a guess for
Would
this.
you like a hint?
Yeah.
He directed The Mummy.
Oh, fucking Summers. Steven Summers.
Steven Summers.
Thanks for the hint.
You got it, man.
Makes sense, yeah.
People helping people. That's why everyone have a good time, you know?
All right. How much money did Tom Cruise's movie Cocktail make at the box office in 1988?
I have to guess a number?
Yeah.
What? That's a bullshit question.
Just guess, man.
How much money?
Yeah, how much money did it make?
How'd you get the exact number?
You have to get the exact number.
Go fuck yourself. Bullshit. This is a bullshit question.
Bro, you're the one who you asked me 16 list questions.
List
in Boston
questions
in front of 100 people. You asked me to list off what are like the 10 movies that came out that Matt Damon made, not starring Ben Affleck.
That was a pretty easy question. This is bullshit.
You asked me 3 list questions.
I'm gonna say $2 million.
$171 million.
171 million. Cocktail made 171 million dollars. Are you fucking kidding me?
Serious. In 1988.
I mean, post Top Gun. Yeah.
Right after Top Gun.
Damn. The power of Tom Cruise, man.
Yeah. Movie star.
Shit.
171 million in 1988 for a guy, a bartender. A movie about a bartender. It made, adjusted for inflation, 400 million.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Did you see that he went to the premiere for Twisters?
Yeah. Chilling with his guy, Glenn.
So cool. Imagine being friends with Tom Cruise.
Oh my
Glenn
God,
Powell.
man.
He just comes to your movie premieres.
He's so good at, like, he just cares about, like, getting people to go to the movies because, like, they took a photo and he clearly held, like, a popcorn bucket up with the Twister logo on it, like, as, like, like, he's just helping with PR. You know
he
what I
just
mean?
loves movies and he wants the
Promote
industry
them.
to keep doing well.
He has no involvement with that movie. He's just, like, helping promote it.
I bet he helped Glenn get the job.
Maybe. Well, I'm sure he like, puts in good words for people.
Probably put in a phone call. Like, yeah, that's my guy.
He's the guy.
But it's so I love seeing him at events, especially events that he's not, planned for being at, because he makes everyone around him smile like nobody in the planet. The smiles that people put on when they're in Tom Cruise's presence, it's ear to ear. Everyone feels like a kid smiling.
It's like there's like
you're seeing Santa Claus.
Yeah,
basically.
it's like seeing Santa
Glenn
Claus.
Powell's smile. It looks like everyone on the red carpet, even the people who are working the event, they're like, "Oh my God, stop fucking Cruise!
Tom Cruise.
Stop Cruise!"
Did you see that? Have you seen that Kimmel interview? Kimmel story about
Super Bowl party?
Yeah, he's throwing a Super Bowl party, and it was like A-list celebrities of the A-list of the A-list, like all huge actors.
Yeah, like Damon and Affleck.
Yeah,
and all
the biggest actors alive, and they're all together for a Super Bowl party, and then Kimmel goes, "Tom's coming." Everyone was like, "Tom's coming?
Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise is coming!" Like the biggest actors alive, and they were like little children when Tom Cruise showed up.
He brought his mom too, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean when people say like Tom Cruise isn't that big. Tom Cruise is the last movie
Nobody
star.
says that.
People say that all the time, man.
What do they say?
They say he's like whenever we talk about, we've done clips where we say Tom Cruise is the last real movie star.
Sure.
As well as people talk smack about Tom, saying like
He's crazy.
Yeah, it's just like,
It's so dumb. So dumb.
The biggest movie star probably ever. Probably ever. Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I mean, who else has been bigger on a global scale in this long of a time period? Harrison Ford
4
was big
years,
for a
man.
while, but I mean,
The
3
2000s?
decades, but he's fallen
What
off.
do you do?
Really.
Yeah, I mean,
Besides Indiana Jones movies,
yeah.
like post 2000.
Tom's still fucking cruising.
But Tom was always, I think, more famous than Harrison Ford too. Maybe Indy in the late 1970s or
I would say
80s.
Harrison Ford. I would say Harrison Ford in the 90s was a bigger star.
It's debatable because
But Tom is
Tom was
now.
so on fire in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was-
but I mean, Harrison was in Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
true. But I mean, that's how big Tom is.
Yeah.
That I would say he's a bigger movie star than Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford was two.
Well,
of the
no,
most,
yeah. Now I would say that.
but all time.
All time, I would say Tom Cruise right now. With what he's done, still, he's the biggest star
Ever.
because of the longevity of him doing it from the 80s to now, and still being in the biggest movie of the year.
And he's like seeing Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So fucking cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Anthony. Do we have any haters this week?
Oh yeah, we got some haters. I forgot last time, so we have quite a few this time. First up, we got Joshua Rain on our Quiet Place episode. I had "I'm a Survivor" song playing in my head on loop every time you guys said Survivor.
I'm gonna make it. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor.
Nobody asked for that, Jim. Nobody asked for that.
Hey man, you sang something in the Letterboxd recap episode today. So you know what? And you know what? I didn't
What did I
say.
sing?
You sang something.
You're just making stuff up.
You sang the chorus in the harmony of a song.
What song?
Fucking, I can't
Survivor?
remember. Not Survivor. Something. I didn't say, listen, Anthony, nobody wants to hear that.
But I guess that sounds harsh on the other side of it.
Exactly.
You're right. Excellent analysis, Raiders. Dark Knight Rises and Two Towers movies from memory, or else I will unsubscribe Day 46 of asking for this. Just kidding. That's a great idea. All right, next up we have. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, hold on. I have a lot of screenshots on my phone. Okay, Decaprosaurus didn't cover the Beast Within trailer. Unsubscribed on our movie news episode.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't. We totally forgot about that one. Next up, Rory McGrath. No failure to communicate joke for the Cool Hand Luke reference. Unsubscribed. Missed opportunity.
Big time.
Big time. Thomas wrote on our Biggest Snubs episode, TMNT animation was god tier. Dissing a childhood classic deserves an unsubscribe.
That's what I'm saying. Anime people are coming. I mean, the animation people are coming for you, Anthony.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
I thought it looked fine.
Whoa, fine? Fine's not great.
No, like-
Fine's never good. Fine is never a good adjective.
Sure it is.
Sure is also not good. Everything's
It
fine.
can be.
Everything's fine.
No, like that
do you
girl-
want to go out for dinner? Sure.
No, but like that girl's fine.
You didn't say it like that.
I said the animation is fine.
You said the animation's fine.
It's really great.
All right, next up, Ron Sanders on our De Niro on our Scorsese movie draft. No Best Buy slander. Unsubscribed. I can't remember what we were saying, but I'm sure we just
Best Buy?
Yeah, Best Buy. I think we were making fun of it.
Yeah, probably.
No mention of Andrew Garfield getting robbed for Tick Tick Boom. Unsubscribe from Ryan. Mason Lavender. The Rocky quote is, "It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward."
Sorry.
Fake fans unsubscribed.
I knew I messed it up while I was
Fakest.
saying it. That's close enough. Close enough.
Oh yeah, that's actually an actual real unsubscribe. Someone really unsubscribed from us.
Let's hear it.
Too much profanity for me. Just a personal thing. So long.
Oh, sorry, pal.
Sorry, Tracy.
Oh, sorry, Tracy.
Yeah, it's just how we were raised.
We don't swear that much, do we?
I think lately.
Lately.
No,
It's like a couple F-bombs an episode. No big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
If that. Sometimes we don't even
Yeah.
swear.
Sorry, it's just our personality.
Yeah. We used to cut all the cusses out, and we used to be really good about not swearing.
Yeah.
But then we were like, fuck
Let's
it.
let loose.
Fuck it.
Let loose. Eric JL on my Quiet Place review. You would abandon your cat? Unsubscribe. And here's-
Don't let Juno listen to that episode, the Quiet Place one.
You would not stay with Juno if a Quiet Place happened.
Oh, I already said in the episode I wouldn't
Yeah.
take him.
Yeah. He's too loud.
No, I'm just saying don't let him listen to the episode.
He's a talker.
He-
Here's my favorite one. This might be my favorite unsubscribe ever. Ready? Empty Can 666 wrote on our biggest box office bombs. Mr. I Only Heart Movies and Mr. I Rate Everything 4 stars. Unsubscribed.
I only heart movies. Wow, boom roasted. That's because I no longer give star ratings for movies on Letterboxd. That's really good. I only heart movies.
I only rate other things 4 stars. And then our last one is Curtis. Wait, you guys forgot about the Alamo? Texas has unsubscribed. # remember the Alamo. Talking about the Alamo movie. Because I said,
Yeah.
he actually screenshotted the text, the dialogue of our podcast. And I was saying we have the Alamo, which is a historical drama, came out in 2004. I didn't even know about this.
You said that?
Yeah.
Oh, you never seen the Alamo?
The Alamo? I've never seen it.
Oh,
Have you?
yeah. It's got what's his name?
Billy Bob?
David Quaid.
David Quaid?
Dennis Quaid? David Quaid.
Who's David Quaid?
Dennis Quaid. Yeah, Dennis Quaid. He's the guy in the Alamo. He's the main actor. You never seen that?
Alamo.
It's not about an Alamo, Anthony.
Oh, Billy Bob, isn't it? Maybe
Yeah.
I have seen this.
Yeah, you've definitely seen that, man.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, Billy Bob, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
He's got like the ponytail.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Curtis. I have seen it. I have heard of it. I just didn't remember hearing about it.
Wow, Anthony.
So now you can resubscribe.
Listen, Texas. Anthony doesn't like Texas so much he forgot about a Texas
Hey,
movie.
I love Texas. I love everyone. I love every state. Texas!
I have had a good time every time I've been to Texas. I've been there like 6 times. All right, let's do a 5-star review.
Let's go.
On Apple Podcasts from Saul Aguero.
Oh, what's up, Saul?
Arguello. Big fan. Simple review. Absolutely great podcast. Awesome movie knowledge from these boys. And very entertaining segments. Would recommend to anyone who loves movies.
Thanks, pal.
Saul,
Appreciate
thank
you, man.
so much, pal. That means the world to us. And Anthony especially.
Yes, this so much.
He's weeping over there from that great review. All right, Anthony, I have a streaming recommendation on Netflix. Would you like to hear what it is?
Not really.
Well, I'm going to say it anyways. It's a movie that's probably going to be on this list eventually, the Letterboxd list. The Wailing on Netflix.
Nice.
It just got added to Netflix, so check it out if you've never seen it. A great horror film from South Korea. Actually, I see it.
Yeah, it's there.
I see it there, yeah.
It's coming up.
It's coming up soon.
Very soon. Spoilers! Jesus, man. My recommendation is Unbreakable on Max. I did a little M. Night Shyamalan back-to-back double feature. And I did Signs and then Unbreakable. They're both good. Unbreakable is great. I really love Unbreakable. It's so well directed. And it's a really good script.
Yeah, didn't Tarantino say it's one of the best movies of the 2000s or of the century?
I guess so.
I can't remember where I read it, but I read that Tarantino loves Unbreakable. He says it's one of the best directed movies of the century.
It's so well directed.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in so long.
He says it's M. Night Shyamalan's masterpiece.
I'm not sure if I put it over The Sixth Sense, but it's like so many great long takes and wonders that are really significantly deep and emotional and
unique too. Like the one at the stadium is really cool.
Yeah, I really loved it. And I actually, for my Letterboxd review, I put top 10 superhero movie. I now put it in my top 10 of superhero movies. Unbreakable.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Too bad he made Glass. Hey, let's do a...
Split's pretty cool, though.
He did Unbreakable, and then he did Split. He's like, okay, now they're all going to be in the same movie. But guess what? They're all going to be in a mental hospital. They're all going to be in therapy the whole time. What the fuck?
Imagine if he had them out in the world fighting each other.
Oh, my God, man.
That could have been so cool.
Why is an hour and a half of that movie of them just in therapy sessions? Holy shit, man.
Should have been Mr. Glass trying to take over the city.
Oh, my God.
Or trying to do something crazy.
Knight, you're so good.
Using James McAvoy's The Beast as his muscle.
Oh my God, it's a great idea.
And then Unbreakable, Bruce Willis has to stop him. That should have been the movie.
He could be using the Beast to cause public massacres or something, or
yeah, but in his muscle, he's controlling the Beast, but he's trying to set off a bomb or ransom the city or some shit, doing something super genius.
Man. Oh man! Instead, they're all in sessions of. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. Anyways, Unbreakable is awesome.
It is an awesome movie. All right, shall we get back into our episode on the 100 greatest movies rated in the horror genre on Letterboxd?
We shall.
All right, at number 50, we have another zombie classic from George A. Romero. In 1978, he made Dawn of the Dead. You've all seen this movie, and we all saw Zack Snyder's remake in 2004, I believe it came out, of a bunch of people finding refuge in a shopping mall after zombies have risen from the dead and are attacking their city. Really great, campy as hell. Lots of great gore and horror. Pretty scary sequences. For the time when this came out, this must have been, a horror masterpiece and seeing something you've never seen before. For us, we're pretty desensitized to it, but it still aged pretty well. I think I saw it for the first time 10 years ago, and I really liked it, even though it was very campy and the gore wasn't great compared to today, but still great makeup and gore for the time.
Yeah, I understand. All right, next up. At number 49, we have a Chinese film called The Legend of the Mountain, which is a 4.0 on Letterboxd. Ho, a young scholar, is given the task for translating Buddhist sutras, which are said to have power over the creatures of the afterlife. He travels to a monastery to find a peaceful place to fulfill the task. However, he encounters a bizarre cast of characters: a Buddhist Lama, a secretary Su, and his menacing friend Cheng, the mysterious Melody and her flute, and Mrs. Cheng. Melody's mother soon arranges a marriage between the Melody and Ho. However, as he works on the sutras, Ho slowly finds himself entangled on a mysterious plot involving witchcraft, demons, and a battle to preserve his own soul from the attacks of the supernatural underworld. This is really cool imagery. The cinematography looks fantastic. Very cool, supernatural looking. Great lighting. I want to check this out. Amazing colors too.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
Next up, we have one of the best sequels ever made, especially in the horror genre. We have Bride of Frankenstein from 1935, directed by James Whale, who did the original Frankenstein as well. And this changes up the characters a little bit, where Frankenstein now has a personality. He's articulate. He's a little more intelligent and empathetic. And Dr. Frankenstein makes and creates a new monster, this time a woman, to be Frankenstein's mate because he's lonely and he wants someone to be with. But the bride of Frankenstein doesn't want to be with Frankenstein. And it's a really terrific film, heavily inspired Poor Things, as well as we're getting a new version of this and Frankenstein next year with Guillermo del Toro, where both the bride and Frankenstein will be in the film. So I'm assuming that will be sort of a remake of the Bride and Frankenstein.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
That's
the bride
awesome.
and Frankenstein will be in
Yeah,
it.
who's playing
The bride and Frankenstein's monster will be in it.
Who's playing the bride?
It was not Emma Stone, was it?
Frankenstein bride. Mia Goth.
Yeah, Mia
Oh,
Goth.
fuck yeah. Let's go. Andrew
Perfect
Garfield
choice.
and Mia Goth. Yeah.
Really excellent film. And yeah, again, one of the best sequels ever.
Fuck yeah. All right, next up we have, it might be surprising to hear, but if you've seen the film, you're not, Ingmar Bergman's Hour of the Wolf, which is a really cool psychological horror film. This guy and his wife, he's an artist. They moved to a remote island to try and start like a new, fresh life. He's being haunted by delusions and horrible nightmares and dreams, and he thinks it has something to do with this really weird, bizarre cult of people that also live on the island. This is like a fever dream, really bizarre, really crazy, surrealist imagery. The only time he ever did anything like this, and he knocked it out of the park. It's great. 4.0 on Letterboxd, came out in 1968. Hour of the Wolf.
Just firing on all cylinders, huh?
Ingmar was always firing on all cylinders.
All right, number 46. We have one of the best zombie movies ever made, if not the best zombie movie ever made, from Edgar Wright in 2004. We have Shaun of the Dead, just really reinvigorating that genre with great humor and great gore and just creating his own style, really, of filmmaking. His great editing, his great screenwriting, his great comedy, as well as terrific performances from Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. This is the first of the Cornetto trilogy, as we all know, and we've talked about this movie multiple times. I'm sure you've all seen it plenty of times. It's a classic. It's a banger. It's hilarious. Iconic lines and just great star-making performance for Simon Pegg here.
Superstar.
He is a superstar, man. He's
great.
He's fucking in Mission Impossible movies since fucking 2008, dude.
Yeah.
I love this
He's
guy.
awesome. All right, next up, we have one of the more contemporary films on this list. At 45, we have Hereditary, which came out in 2018, directed by Ari Aster. I think everybody who listens to the show has seen Hereditary. It's a 4.0 on Letterboxd. An incredible sensory experience in theaters. It was just a really fantastic horror film. It's one of my favorite rewatches in the horror genre. Toni Collette leads a really talented cast. It's disturbing, it's grim, it's shocking, it's unpredictable, and it's got an amazing ending. Really one of my favorite conclusions to a horror film in Hereditary. Excellent, excellent movie.
Next up at 42, we have Haxan. Came out in 1922, directed by Benjamin Christensen. I was actually looking at the cinematography of this movie the other day, just out of curiosity.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really
It's on
astounding.
Criterion if you want to watch
Great
it.
production design. I got to check it out. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It's an anthology of a bunch of shorts.
Yeah, it's a trip. We got witches. We have scientific hypotheses. We have psychiatric patients. It's scary. It's darkly humorous, disgusting, and gross. And just one of a kind, especially coming out of the early stages of the silent era in 1922.
At number 43, we have The Wailing, which is one of my favorite horror movies. Came out in 2016, directed by Na Hong Jin. 4.0 on Letterboxd. A stranger arrives in a little village, and soon after, a mysterious sickness starts spreading. A policeman is drawn into the incident and is forced to solve the mystery in order to save his daughter. There's some crazy virus spreading of some kind that makes people insane and murderous. And there's this really mysterious guy that showed up, and he's living in the woods, and he's got something to do with it. And in great South Korean fashion, we have like kind of a bumbling detective who's trying to figure it out. And he just keeps getting caught up in this crazy mystery. We got shaman battles, messed up murder, blood, gore, and one of the most disturbing finales ever. And this is a movie that every time I watch it, it really shakes me to my core when it's done.
It's a great one. I think I might actually watch this tonight. I haven't seen it in a few years.
Dude,
Man,
watch
it's that good. Let's get to number 40. 2 on our list. Sorry, Haxon was 44. Wailing was 43. And The Fly is number 42, a banger from David Cronenberg in 1986, starring Jeff Goldblum, who plays a scientist who is creating breakthrough in technology of a teleportation machine and decides to test it on himself, which is never a good idea in a movie. Unbeknownst to him, inside the machine during its tests is a common housefly. And he runs the device, and now the two become one. And he starts to morph into a giant fly man. It's gross,
really great.
gory, disturbing, but so fucking good.
It's an amazing movie.
Goldblum's got great hair in this movie. He always had great hair, but man, those locks.
Yeah, he's great. All right, next up at 41, we have The Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think everyone is aware of this. Directed by Jim Sharman in 1975. Has a 4.0 on Letterboxd. Sweethearts, Brad and Janet, stuck on a flat tire during a storm, discover the eerie mansion of Dr. Frankenfurter. As their innocence is lost, Brad and Janet meet a household of wild characters, including a rocking biker and a creepy butler. Through elaborate dances and rock songs, Frankenfurter unveils his latest creation, a muscular man named Rocky.
Moving on to number 40, we have Jaws. Came out in 1975, directed by Steven Spielberg. You all know this movie. It's about an evil dentist who's out for creating cavities in people's mouths. Jaws, the classic.
I was like, wait, what the fuck is he saying? Evil dentist. Out to create cavities.
It's a banger.
Why did he become a dentist if he wants people to have cavities? Oh, so he can have sales?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he has business.
And then he puts demons inside the cavities.
Puts the demons in people's
So
teeth.
he possesses people through their teeth.
Interesting.
Jaws.
Not a bad idea for a horror movie. All right, at number 39, we have Santa Sangre from Alejandro Jodorowsky. I've never seen this. A former circus artist escapes from a mental hospital to rejoin his mother, the leader of a strange religious cult, and is forced to enact brutal murders in her name. Sounds very cool.
Chilean film. Man, if Jodorowsky got to make that Dune movie, it would have been crazy. You ever seen that documentary?
Yes, I have.
Cool. Anyways.
I have. You really would have liked it?
I think it would have been interesting. Why not?
Yeah.
It would have been a movie from, it would have been like the 80s.
Yeah. Because he was changing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, he's changing a lot of stuff.
He's changing a ton.
Would have been interesting.
Well, yeah, it would have been interesting, but...
Now, earlier in the episode, Anthony and I were talking about an all-time film that is pretty lowly ranked on this list.
I'm talking about another one, too.
And
That's not actually... I'm realizing the one I'm talking about is not even on the list.
And then what we're referring to earlier was at number 38, we have The Exorcist on this list.
Yes.
Which I understand why it's that low at 38 because, Letterboxd is such a young person's app for the most part. And, a lot of classic horror movies maybe haven't aged as well with them. Still being 38 on a top 100 list is incredible. But, The Exorcist is an all-time film, let alone horror film. And it had such an impact on the genre that for decades and decades and decades, studios are still making Exorcist movies. And they're all still trying to capture what The Exorcist captured all the way in 1973 with William Friedkin's banger of a film. And he was just firing on all cylinders back in 1973. He always was, but The Exorcist is a special movie, one of the scariest movies of all time.
It's my favorite all-time horror film. Letterboxd sometimes is weird. Like, listen to this review. Gotta admit that Demon had some pretty sweet burns, though.
What?
3 stars.
3 stars?
3 stars. Didn't fart a single time during this movie.
See, I
This
love
is Letterboxd.
I love and hate Letterboxd. Sometimes it's great and it's so cool that there's a social media platform for reviewing movies, but then it just gets to the point where these reviews are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people make reviews for fun and they're really funny sometimes, but that one's just like, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Didn't fart during The Exorcist 5 stars.
Fucking people are weird. Let's be serious can we be serious for 1 minute? Ever? All right, at number 37, we have another all-timer, Peeping Tom, which came out all the way back in 1960, directed by Michael Powell. This is also, along with The Exorcist, in my all-time favorite horror films. Loner Mark Ellis works at a film studio during the day and at night takes racy photographs of women. Also, he's making a documentary about fear, which involves recording the reactions of his victims as he murders them POV with the camera. He then befriends Helen, the daughter of the family living in the apartment below, and tells her vaguely about the movie he's making while also forming a real bond with her, struggling to keep his real life a secret. This is one of the most visually stunning horror films ever made, ahead of its time with the POV voyeurism, with the POV kills. It's just brilliant. Michael Powell, one of the greatest directors ever, with the Red Shoes and Black Narcissus and a bunch of other great films, always shooting with large format. It's a stunning film. It's also a great film in the film industry. He plays a focus puller, and it's just a fantastic film. I was absolutely floored when I saw this movie, and it's one of my all-time favorites now.
Next up on our list, we're going back to Japan. At number 36, we have 1977's House, which is easily one of the trippiest, most surreal ghost story movies you'll ever see in your life. It's about this young girl who's trying to seek a connection to her late mother, and she takes a trip to the countryside to visit her aunt in their ancestral home, and she invites a bunch of her friends. So 6 of her friends go with her to join her on this little trip, but her aunt is a bit off, and they don't know that her aunt is a fucking witch who wants to consume their souls. And they soon discover that the house has more than meets the eye, and it's just a crazy, bonkers, fever dream nightmare of a movie. But also, the definition of camp is House, and it's so funny and silly at times, but also scary and trippy and weird, but great filmmaking, lots of cool practical as well as experimental effects going on. Half the stuff in this movie, I was like, how the fuck did they pull this off in 1977?
Because they had to.
Exactly.
You had to do it.
People getting their arms bit off, and it was fucking nuts. It's cool because it's also sort of like Cinderella, except where the things around the house have personalities that are alive.
Yeah.
Except a horror version of Cinderella, where everything around them is alive and trying to kill them and eat them. It's so fucking weird. And then one of the girls is great at kung fu and has this great musical theme whenever she's beating stuff up. It's a crazy movie, man. It's a crazy fucking movie.
What's it rating on Letterboxd?
Its rating on Letterboxd is a 4.0.
Nice. All right, next up at number 35, we have The Sixth Sense.
Speak of the devil and he shall appear.
Fire rises.
Think this gives you power over me? Crashing this plane.
That was pretty good.
It's pretty good. Crashing this plane.
Not good.
I used to be good at Jane. It's been a while.
Anyways.
They expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. It's pretty... Oh, you're muffling the voice. I like that.
Your precious armory. We will need it.
Graciously accepted.
Righteously accepted.
Then you have my permission to die.
Crashing this plane with no survivors.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking what an opening, man.
What do you like better, Dark Knight Rises or Oppenheimer?
I like all of his movies, honestly. I cannot pick.
Fucking A. It's one of the best openings to an action movie ever
I think
made.
Dark Knight Rises it's so good. It gets so much hate. It's so good.
Fucking haters,
Dark
man.
Knight Rises is so good.
It's pretty awesome.
In some ways, it's better than The Dark Knight.
What a lovely, lovely voice.
All right, back to The Sixth Sense. At a 4.0 on Letterboxd, following an unexpected tragedy, child psychologist Malcolm Crowe meets a 9-year-old boy named Cole who's hiding a dark secret.
He's paid. Crashing this plane.
Cole can see dead people.
Wow, way to spoil the movie.
Oh, shit. I'll cut that out. Cole has this really dark secret. If you haven't seen this, watch it. It's great. It's great. Highly successful $600 million box office.
Bruce Willis made $90 million off this movie.
He sure did. He sure did.
$90 million on one movie.
He was like, fuck yeah, M. Night, call me up anytime. I'll make anything with you, man.
All right, moving on to number 33. Larry
34.
Legend. 33. 34.
34.
34.
The truth.
We have Godzilla from 1954 coming out of Japan. It's Godzilla. We all know the story, and this is another version of it from 1954.
Wow, thank you for that.
That's about,
amazing review.
That's about all I got to say
Thank
about
you for that.
I mean, what? He just rampages Tokyo and fucks people up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. What else could be said? All right. Next up, we have a Japanese horror film, Kuroniko, which I've never seen, but it's by Kaneto Shindo, who did like Onibaba and Children of Hiroshima. In the Sengoku period, a woman and her daughter are raped and murdered by soldiers during a time of civil war. Afterwards, a series of samurai returning from the war through that area are found mysteriously dead with their throats torn out. The governor calls on a wild and fierce young hero to quell what is evidently an Onryo ghost. He encounters the two beautiful women in an eerie, beautiful scene. After spiritual purification, he meets the demon in a thrilling fight. Sounds fucking awesome. It's like a demon, ghost, supernatural samurai movie. I'm adding this to my watch list right now. I just did it.
Adding.
Came out in 1968, has a 4.0 on Letterboxd. I gotta fucking see this.
Next up at number 32, from Wes Craven, his first time on the list. In 1996, he made the slasher classic, Scream. We've talked about this movie so much on the show. We've done episodes on it, and we adore Scream. It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. It's one of the best slashers ever made, reinvigorating the genre big time in the 1990s. And, you know, it's a IP and a franchise that still is going, and they're still making new ones. However, I don't think any of them have ever come close to the original.
No.
None of them have come close to what they captured with this brilliant movie in 1996. It's so meta. It's a classic. It pokes fun at itself. It pokes fun at horror movies. It pokes fun at movies in general. And it just doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows exactly what it is. It's so well made, and it's a great script, great characters. And one of the best Scream queens of all time, Neve Campbell, came from this. And
Neve Campbell.
And Sidney Prescott, one of the most loved characters in horror.
Sydney.
Hello, Sydney. What's your favorite scary movie, Sydney?
Sydney.
Hey, Sydney. You're gonna die, bitch. Okay, all right, I'm better at Ghostface. You're better at Bane.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Should we do a phone call with Bane? And
Yeah.
Hello.
What's your favorite scary movie, Bane?
I don't like scary movies.
Are you alone in the house right now?
Yes, why?
You sound cute.
Do you really think so?
Do you have a boyfriend, Bane?
I don't know, but I think you have a lovely, lovely voice.
All right, this is getting weird.
All right, next up at 31, we have Evil Dead 2, directed by Sam Raimi, 1987. This is a long time ago. Holy shit. The sequel to the ultimate experience in grueling terror, Ash Williams and his girlfriend Linda find a log cabin in the woods with a voice recording from an archaeologist who has recorded himself reciting the ancient chants from the Book of the Dead. As they play the recording, an evil power is unleashed, taking over Linda's body. This is so much fun. More of the gore that we got in the first film with a much lighter tone and more comedy. And they just had, I think, an absolute blast making this movie. You can see it on screen. It's gross. It's scary. And overall, it's just entertaining as hell. It's my favorite Evil Dead movie. Evil Dead 2.
All right, we are going back to South Korea, baby. Right now, we're going to do number 30, I Saw the Devil. Came out in 2010. A brilliant horror movie. Excellent concept. Really clever script. Starring Choi Min-sik, who is also Dae-soo in Oldboy. He actually plays a serial killer in this film. A serial killer who has eluded police for a long time. And when he kills the wife of a detective, this detective, or his fiance, will stop at nothing to track down the serial killer. But not only does he track down the serial killer, he consistently tracks the serial killer down, torments the serial killer, then lets the serial killer loose on an endless loop of trying to cause this serial killer as much pain and haunting as possible to get his insane revenge. It's a brilliant movie about revenge, about vengeance, whether it's justified or not, and about being a monster. Does killing a monster make you a monster yourself?
Yeah. And Lee Byung-hun is amazing in it as well. He's big action star. from A Bittersweet Life in South Korea. They're great on screen together. There's no serial killer movie like this. This is one of the best ones. It's incredible. So original. All right, next up. We got Brian De Palma, baby. Woo! Phantom of the Paradise came out in 1974. The most highly acclaimed horror fantasy of our time. This is a rock opera hybrid of Phantom of the Opera and Faust. It's about fledgling singer-songwriter Winslow Leach, who finds himself double-crossed by the nefarious music producer Swan, who steals both his music and the girl Leach wants to sing it, Phoenix, for the grand opening of his own rock palace, the Paradise. After Swan sends Leach to prison for trespassing, Leach endures a freak accident which leaves him disfigured and plans his revenge on both Swan and the Paradise by becoming the Phantom of the Paradise. This is an amazing movie. Watch it if you haven't seen it. It's Brian De Palma as only he can do. And man, you've never seen anything like it before in your life. I guarantee that.
All right. Next up is a movie I've never heard of, but I immediately want to see it. It's called, at number 28, we have One Cut of the Dead. Now, this is a zombie movie. It came out in 2017. And here's the synopsis. Things go badly for a hack director and film crew shooting a low-budget zombie movie in an abandoned Second World War Japanese facility when they are attacked by real zombies. This is a Japanese film, and the reviews are stellar. It's a 4.1. That's an awesome idea. That's so cool. And yeah, the reviews are excellent on this movie. Man, I gotta check this out.
This is really good. Yeah, everyone says it's fantastic.
I love the posters. They're very campy and it's sort of classic zombie movies.
Yeah. Wow, cool. Okay, at number 27, we have another Robert Eggers film, The Lighthouse, 2019. This is a 4.0 on Letterboxd. Two lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity while living on a remote and mysterious New England island in the 1890s. Fuck! What?
Sick of your farts.
Sick of your farts.
Tell me you're fond of me, lobster.
Tell me you're fond of me, lobster. You fond of me, lobster, ain't ye? I fucking love that movie. It's so good.
It's so fucking good.
I love it.
All right, we have a banger up next. At number 26, from Sweden, directed by Tomas Alfredson, we have Let the Right One In. This is one of the best, if not the best, vampire movie in the history of cinema, at least in the last 20 years in this century. It's about this young girl who's a vampire who's been alive for a very long time. She lives in this apartment, and she has a caretaker who gets her blood every night, but sometimes she goes and gets her herself if he doesn't get enough for her. And she befriends a neighbor named Oscar, who she starts to protect because he's bullied at school, and they start to have this budding romance until things go wrong and keep going wrong. And it shows really brilliant examples of relationships, especially with a vampire and a human, where it can't really work out, especially because they're so different. Like when she tries to eat the candy that he gets for her,
yeah,
and she starts to puke it up, he doesn't understand. But this also has one of the best kill scenes I've seen in horror in a while. It's an awesome movie. It's tragic as well. It's so well crafted and well written, and I can't recommend it enough if no one's ever seen it.
I'm glad it's got great ratings on Letterboxd, and a lot of people seem to have seen it, which is great. It's an all-timer.
Yeah, it's a coming of age story too as well.
Yeah,
It's really
it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
All right, next up at 25, we have The Phantom Carriage. Came out in 1921, directed by Victor Slotström. I hope I said that right. Seems like it's Swedish. It's New Year's Eve. Three drunkards evoke a legend. The legend tells that the last person to die in a year, if he is a great sinner, will have to drive during the whole year the Phantom Chariot that picks up the souls of the dead. Never heard of this one. I'm going to add it to my list.
Next up, we have a silent film classic from Robert Wine, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I'm sure you've all seen this, especially if you've gone to film school. This is one that your professors will most likely show you. It's got really incredible elements of the peak of German expressionism inside of it. Great production design, really great sets in terms of, distorting the background of your shots and your scenes and your sequences, and shadows used so well in this movie. It's a superb film, really well made, really well crafted, insanely influential. And like I said, if you went to film school or you took any intro to film classes, this was probably shown to you.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't been remade, honestly.
I think it's something that nobody wants to touch.
I guess. But I mean, they've been doing everything else. I guess Metropolis has never been remade either.
Yeah.
I guess Nosferatu is more
Citizen
fair
Kane's
play.
not going to get made.
Yeah.
I think there's just some that you just don't touch them.
Imagine if someone tried to remake Citizen Kane.
Oh my God.
Citizen Lame, it would be called.
Citizen Lame. All right, next up, we have another Japanese horror film from Kanato Shindo, his second film, Onibaba, which is a 4.1 on Letterboxd. Great horror film. While her son Kichi is away at war, a woman and her daughter-in-law survive by killing samurai who stray into their swamp, then selling whatever valuables they find. Both are devastated when they learn that Kichi has died, but his wife soon begins an affair with a neighbor who survived the war, Hachi. The mother disapproves, and when she can't steal Hachi for herself, tries to scare her daughter-in-law with a mysterious mask from a dead samurai. Great imagery, really great, cool gore, prosthetics, and special effects work. Ahead of its time. Check out Onibaba.
Next up, we have F.W. Murnau's Faust, which came out in 1926. I brought him up earlier in the episode. I'm sure this won't be the last time he's on here in our top. What are we at? Number
20s.
22 with Faust. And this is a classic about Satan and God making a bet after, they're warring over Earth, and they make a bet to settle their wager on being able, if the devil can corrupt the soul of a man. And honestly, this movie makes me think of Constantine in a lot of ways, like a kind of modern version of that.
The
heaven and hell. What if God and the devil had a wager for the souls of mankind? And God's a kid with an ant farm lady. But this is another classic from the 1920s in the silent era. Great production design, great costuming, great elements, thematic elements as well. Heaven and hell, gods and angels. And this was poorly remade like 20 or something years ago. I think it was also just called Faust. And I never saw it, but I know it exists, and I know it just looked like ass.
Yeah.
No
need. Next up, we have a film I've never heard of, which came out in 2018, called The Wolf House, La Casa Lobo. And it looks like it's a stop-motion film. It's about a young woman who takes refuge in a strange house in the woods after escaping from a German colony in southern Chile. Yeah, and it's made with all just stop motion. I mean, not stop motion, but it looks like puppets maybe? And this came out in 2018. I've never even heard of this. But it's got great ratings, a 4.1 on Letterboxd. 75 minutes, short film, but it looks really, really eerie. Interesting. The Wolf House.
All right.
Next to my list.
Next up, we have a movie I've never seen either, called Seconds. It came out in 1966. I believe this is sort of like a face-off movie. A secret organization offers wealthy people a second chance at life. The customer picks out someone they want to be, and the organization surgically alters the customer to look like the intended person, stages the customer's death, gets rid of the intended person, and the customer takes on a new life. Interesting concept.
I like that.
That's pretty cool.
I'm going to add this to my watch list.
Seconds.
When did it come out?
1966, directed by John Frankenheimer.
John Frankenheimer. Interesting.
It is, it's an American film, too.
Interesting.
Very interesting. John Frankenheimer. That's a cool name.
Oh, I'm adding to my watch list.
Yeah,
sounds fucking awesome.
Sounds really cool.
All right, next up at number 19, we're in the top 20, everybody. We have The Innocents, which is a really great horror film, came out in 1961, and is about a woman who becomes a young governess for 2 children. However, she becomes convinced that the house and the grounds are haunted. This is a great supernatural ghost story. Really great visuals, black and white, beautiful filmmaking, and excellent performances. Highly recommend checking it out. The Innocents. 4.1 on Letterboxd.
All right, we're going to talk about one of the
Ooh, you got it.
craziest movies I've ever seen in my entire life that came out in 1981 called Possession, starring Alan Grant himself, Sam Neill, and Isabel Adjani. Now, this movie, it's such a trip. It's so energetic. It's fear-inducing and anxiety-inducing as well. And it's about this young woman who leaves her family with an unspecified reason, her husband and her son. The husband's obsessed and becomes hooked on trying to find out why, where she's going when she's leaving, and if there's another guy involved. But it gets crazier and crazier the
there's
more you
another
watch this
guy
film.
involved.
He made love to me all night. That's why he's so tired. It's so gross and fucked up in all the best ways. Has one of the most bizarre and intense scenes I've ever seen performed. Incredible physical acting from both Sam Neill and Isabel Adjani. It's just a superb movie. It'll leave you stunned, mouth ajar, and asking yourself, what the hell you just watched? It's really incredible, though. And there's nothing like this movie. Nothing. Directed by Andrzej Zulawski. And I believe we talked about in Movie News recently how Robert Pattinson is going to produce a remake of this film, potentially star in it. I could see him starring in it, which will be directed by the guy who made Smile and Smile 2.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
But man, what a ride this one is.
Oh, it sure is.
At the end of the day, it's also just a beautiful love story. If not beautiful, but a fucked up love story.
All right, next up at number 17, we have What We Do in the Shadows, directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. This is one of the best vampire movies / werewolf movies. It is a mockumentary following a group of vampires and what their day-to-day life is like, and it's just really hilarious, brilliant, so much fun, and absurd and ridiculous. It's a great vampire movie.
I watched a clip of this the other day where it's police have arrived at their house to like inspect things.
Yeah.
And there's a dead guy in the basement, but they think he's there. Oh no, he's just drunk. He's drunk. Yeah. They're like, oh, come on, mates. Like, yeah, at least get a blanket for him, or at least look at him. He's lying on concrete here. And they're like, oh, this is a hazard over here. You have buckets underneath a candle, underneath a light switch. This is a hazard. It's a fire hazard, mate.
That's great.
It's so goddamn funny. All right, here's a great one. One of the best movies of the century. We have 2010's Black Swan from Darren Aronofsky, starring the great Natalie Portman in an Oscar-winning role. And this is just an insane, trippy journey into the psyche of a ballerina who will do anything it takes to get the lead role in the Black Swan show. The Swan Queen. Swan Lake to be
Swan Queen.
the Swan Queen. Yeah, the Swan Queen.
I thought you meant the ballet is called the Swan Queen.
The Swan Lake.
Okay.
Playing the Swan Queen. But it turns into a fever nightmare of what the fuck's going on, tripping out, as well as a brilliant finale. This woman who's being broken down and slowly transforming her into a swan in a lot of ways. She's picking feathers off herself. She's just fallen into an intense obsession out of just desire and sort of the only thing she knows is ballet her whole entire life. And she'll do anything to maintain this role, to maintain being the lead, and she'll stop at nothing to perform that role on stage and just to be perfect. Great roles from Natalie Portman as well as Vincent Cassel and Mila Kunis.
Yeah. Winona Ryder's great in it too.
That's right, Winona is in it.
Okay, at number 15, we have a movie I've never seen before, but I've heard of. Whatever happened to Baby Jane, starring Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. Two aging film actresses live as virtual recluses in an old Hollywood mansion. Sounds very Sunset Boulevard-y. Jane Hudson, a successful child star, cares for her crippled sister Blanche, whose career in later years eclipsed that of Jane. Now the two live together, their relationship affected by simmering subconscious thoughts of mutual envy, hate, and revenge. Sounds like a psychological horror thriller. Adding to my list.
The opening of Maxine had a Bette Davis quote. It said, You're
never...
until you're known as a monster, you're not a star," or something like that. You're not a star in the city
Hollywood,
until you're known as a monster. It's a really interesting quote.
Yeah.
All right, we're at number 14. And the Twin Peaks fans, I'm sure they came out full swing for this one. Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, which came out in 1992, directed by David Lynch. We actually reviewed this for a Patreon bonus episode for a patron maybe like 2 years ago, and we watched this movie. I'd never really seen the show, but we watched the movie for the review, and it was a fucking trip. I didn't understand completely everything that was going on because I don't know the lore that well.
Yeah.
And I don't know the characters that well in the scenarios. But this was definitely a pretty trippy movie.
I appreciated the David Bowie cameo.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, I had no idea what was going on with this movie. Next up, we have, at 13, Aliens, which came out in 1986, directed by James Cameron. 5 stars from me. It's a 4.2 on Letterboxd. It's a classic. You guys know Aliens. We talk about Aliens all the time. You know we're all about Ridley Scott. It's one of the best movies, just generally speaking. One of the best movies ever. Aliens.
Ridley Scott did not make Aliens, Anthony.
I'm sorry, James Cameron. I literally already said. I just said James Cameron right before that.
Woo! Embarrassing. Kind of embarrassing.
Whoops.
Anyways, let's move on to a number 12. We have Diabolique from 1955. We talked about this movie recently on the show. I think we did our best horror movies of all time, something like that.
The best horror movies you've never seen.
You've never seen before. And if you haven't seen this movie, we still recommend it. It's about these two women a wife and a mistress, who kill the man in their lives, and suddenly his body disappears.
Dun, dun, dun.
Lots of mysterious and odd occurrences start to happen after that. It's a brilliant film. Horrific, especially for the time. Excellent.
One of the best films on this list. It deserves to be number 12. Absolutely. At number 11, we have Get Out, Jordan Peele's Oscar-winning film. Chris and his girlfriend Rose go upstate to visit her parents for the weekend. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationship.
I would have voted for Obama a third term.
If I could have, I would have.
Best president of my lifetime.
But as the weekend progresses, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he never could have imagined. It's such a brilliant story, and I remember we saw this at the Cinerama Dome.
Yeah, packed crowd.
It was
second week it was out.
It was such a great experience, and it was just an unbelievable movie, and the crowd loved it. And it was like
so funny,
very electric setting and feeling.
Yeah,
and
I still remember that.
Yeah, it's a movie going experience that I clearly still to this day remember.
The word of mouth on this movie was it set everyone on fire. It was insane. It's just one of those movies where, you just hear, you got to see this movie, you got to see this movie. It's the same thing with Parasite in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But this one, $300 million box office on a $3 million budget. Fucking insane, dude.
Woo.
What a picture.
What a picture.
All right, we're at number 10. Holy guacamole. I have not seen this movie at number 10. Demons. In 1971 from Japan. Here's a synopsis. Jengobe Satsuma, an exiled samurai cast out as an Asano clan retainer, is given a second chance to join his brothers in arms to become the 48th Ronin against the shogunate. His faithful servant gathers the 100 ryo required for his acceptance. Genjobi is also in love with a greedy geisha named Komen. About to be sold to another man, Genjobi learns that for him to keep her, her debt is exactly 100 ryo.
Sounds cool. Adding to my watch list, I've never seen this.
This world is a sea of blood.
Toshio Matsumoto. Okay. Cool, I'm watching this. All right, at number 9, we have, from the Japanese master Kobayashi, Kwaidan, which came out in 1964, which is an extraordinary piece of cinema. It's the best anthology film ever, and it's about 4 different tales. One's a penniless samurai marries for money with tragic results. A man stranded in a blizzard is saved by Yuki the Snow Maiden, but his rescue comes at a cost. Blind musician Hoichi is forced to perform for an audience of ghosts, and an author relates the story of a samurai who sees another warrior's reflection in his teacup. This is just some of the most incredible filmmaking I've ever seen. There's great color design in each anthology. They all have very different color palettes in production. It's just beautiful. Sets were built for this. And on top of that, it's very scary. And it's got great camera work. Kobayashi, he is just like one of the greatest directors ever. He also did Harakiri. He's just like up there with all-time directors. He did The Human Condition. So, I mean, if you haven't seen his movies, you watch them. Quiet On is an amazing film and one of the best horror films for sure, and it deserves to be in the top 10.
At number 8, we're back with Roman Polanski and Rosemary's Baby from 1968. Everyone knows this movie. So famous, so influential. A young couple move into an infamous New York apartment building, are there to start a family. The husband is a potential actor. He's trying to find jobs. He's trying to work on Broadway. And the wife is sort of a stay-at-home wife, ready to have a child and start a family there. But things become frightening as Rosemary begins to suspect her unborn baby isn't safe around their strange new neighbors who are pretty fucking odd. And goodness, you all know this movie. The devil's involved. It's pretty dark, but so brilliant. An all-time movie.
Next up, we have a film I've never seen called The Cremator, directed by Juraj Hertz. And this is a Czechoslovakian film. Set in Central Europe during World War II, a demented cremator believes that cremation relieves earthly suffering and sets out to save the world. I've never heard of this, but, I mean, if it's up in the top 10, you got to give it a watch.
It's a great title, The Cremator.
Yeah. Sounds like it's like a action hero. Like Mel Gibson in The Cremator. Sounds like a 90s action revenge movie.
The pharmacist.
He burns all of his victims.
The typewriter. All right.
Pharmacist.
At number 6 on this list, from Japan, 1997, we have Cure. Goodness, I can't recommend this enough. It's about a bunch of murders that are happening around Tokyo, and each body has a bloody X carved into the neck. And it's about this killer who's a hypnotist who indirectly murders people with his hypnotism. It's so fucking good. You'll never look at lighters the same way again. Don't ever light a light around me, Anthony. But it's just one of those movies. It ends ambiguously too. It's very interpretive, and you sort of get to make decisions for yourself. But my God, it's an excellent fucking movie. I'm so glad it's this high on this list because it blew my hair back the first time I saw it.
It's
really excellent. Really, really is.
It's really, really good. All right, next up at number 5, we're into the big leagues, top 5 now. It's all heavyweights. We got The Shining, 1980. It is sitting at a 4.2 on Letterboxd.
Easy peasy. We don't really have to talk about that because everyone knows it.
Or
Just like we don't really have to talk about Alien at number 4. Deserves to be number 4 on this list. One of the best movies ever made in general, and just one of the best horror movies. You know, Ridley Scott really changed the genre in 1979 when he made this film, and it's still all-timer.
What's its rating?
Its rating is a 4.3.
Nice. Oh, we're in big leagues now, 4.3s. At number 3, we have Psycho, which came out in 1960, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, which also sits at a 4.3 on Letterboxd.
At number 2. Oh, man. What a picture this one is.
I'm so glad it's up here at number 2.
At number 2, with a 4.3 rating also, we have Jonathan Demme's Silence of the Lambs, the best horror movie about a serial killer or serial killings ever made. Will never be topped, I don't think. And just maybe one of the best American movies of all time.
Yeah, just generally speaking, in any genre.
That's superb.
And then, at number 1, I think we're both very happy this is at number 1 because it deserves it. At number 1 on Letterboxd's top horror films list of all time, we have John Carpenter's The Thing, which came out in 1982 and is the sole 4.4 rated film on this entire list of horror films. Deservedly so. This is just one of the greatest pieces of filmmaking ever in the horror genre. It still holds up, stands the test of time. There's nothing like it, and it's really just one of a kind in horror. I love The Thing.
Motherfucker looked like The Thing. Reservoir Dogs. Talking about The Thing from Fantastic Four. Not The Thing from The Thing. Wow. What a great top 5. And honestly, you know, those are movies that everyone knows and loves, so you didn't really have to spend too much time on them.
Yeah.
But that was really cool to see those top 5.
It's a great list. I gotta say, it's my favorite Letterboxd list that they have. I think
It's pretty great. Yeah.
And there's
There's
lot
not
of
a lot
films-
of recency bias in there. That's what I like about it.
as well too.
There must have been 15 movies from the 1920s.
And there's some really interesting movies that I have now added to my watch list from this just doing the episodes. So it's really cool to do these episodes because I mean we've seen a lot of movies, but we haven't seen everything, and it's always cool to just like Letterboxd is also from you reviewing movies. It's also a great place to discover great movies. So I'm really looking forward to checking some of these films out. And horror in 2024 is about to boom. It's about to blow up this summer. We have a lot of great films coming our way. I'm very excited for the genre going forward, and I think it's going to be a great year for horror.
Earlier in the episode, you said that there was a movie that wasn't on the list that you thought should have been on the list. What was it? Not talking about The Exorcist, which was...
It was
there.
Silence of the Lambs. I couldn't see it.
Oh.
That too. I missed it.
You skimmed the list.
skimmed the list.
Skimmed it.
But if I'm going to make one change to this list, Exorcist should be in the top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah, Exorcist should be in the top 5. Would you make what would you make to this list if you're going to make a change?
I would put Exorcist a lot higher too. I'd probably put it top 15. But besides that, I think maybe Get Out's a little too high at 11.
Mm-hmm.
I think Get Out's brilliant, but maybe that's a little too high.
I would put Eyes Without a Face in the top 15. I would put that film up there.
I'd probably put The Wailing a little higher.
I love The Wailing,
Wailing's
too.
at 53. That seems pretty low for me.
Yeah, I would do that too. I think The Wailing's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that, and then...
Otherwise, the list is pretty solid, honestly.
Yeah, Halloween's at 97, but, I mean, I guess that's low, but I don't know. Audition at 89 is really cool. I like to see that there. I'm just happy it's on the list.
And also, I think Jaws, I'm just such an all-time Jaws fan. 40's too high for me, but that's just me.
Too low for you, yeah.
Too low. I think I adore Jaws. Everyone knows that. It's all I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, we know, Anthony. Everyone in the neighborhood knows.
So I think that should be a much better rating than 40.
What's really interesting is there's only one A24 film on this top 100 list.
Hereditary?
Yeah.
And The Lobster and the Witch.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Lobster and the Witch, you're right.
Yeah. Don't forget about those.
I
would also
skim
say
them.
7 should be on the list.
Yeah.
I would put 7 on the list.
Should be like top 50.
I would put the original Poltergeist in the top 100. It's a wonderful film. And even Green Room, more recent film.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think Green Room is that good, and I think also Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, should I think be on the list as well. And also, I was surprised there wasn't a Nightmare on Elm Street, because Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, is phenomenal. 5-star movie in my opinion.
Do you really you give that 5 stars?
The original, yeah.
Yeah.
It's brilliant filmmaking.
No, I know it is.
Yeah.
It's really great. I don't know if I'd give it 5 stars if I was back in my era of rating movies.
Yeah, long ago.
The long ago.
But otherwise, it's a really great list. I just have those few adjustments that I would make. But it's a really solid list, and I think it's pretty accurate to what I think is objectively are the greatest horror films ever.
All right, that wraps this episode.
That was a great one.
Letterboxd's top 100 rated horror movies. Thank you so much for tuning in. Become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews, and take care, everybody.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our chosen one patrons, Cody Moen, Andrew Hagan, Becca Keene, Benjamin Cook, Calvin Murphy Griggs, Nicholas Martin, Darian Singleton, Tyler McFly, Andrew Hagan. Our chosen one patrons are our biggest supporters. Thank you so much. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kosler. Opening music by Chase Jackson. Thank you for watching Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, notifications for sure. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and be sure to check out this other content we have on our YouTube channel.